Hello and welcome. This is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. This channel evaluates all aspects of true crime. As you are aware, videos and live streams in this genre often discuss elements of crime that may be disturbing to some viewers. If necessary, take the precautions needed to avoid these feelings. Factual information related to cases is the key to fostering rational true crime discussions. Fortunately, you will find that here. Please hit the like button only once, share the video, and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you very much for watching.
Huh? It's a house!
5 brain cells, 4 aren't working. Stupid is being nice. You're an absolute moron.
What's going on, freaks? Now here we go. We're going to Laken Riley. This is a whole separate show. I hope this one gets supported too. It's 2 hours and something long. All right, here we go. I guess we have that on. So this is day number 3. We got some good surveillance footage analysis in here. It's pretty good. So we'll get started on that. That starts coming up pretty quick into this, you know. But look at this amazing. Look at this shit here. That's awesome. Probably have it like that. And thanks Court TV for having that out there. You know, it's just a pool feed, you know. So now here we go. Is it going to do that all the time?
And that completes the stipulation to
No.
and admitted into evidence by agreement of the parties. Stipulation number 1 is marked State's Exhibit 294. Stipulation of fact regarding GBI toxicologist Carla Turner. Carla Turner is a forensic toxicologist with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. She tested the liquid from the white styrofoam cup recovered from the retention pond area by Sergeant Saunders on February 22nd, 2024. Her results were reported as follows. Ethyl alcohol result by gas chromatography, 65 proof. And there's a error rate in there of plus or minus 3. And that's going to be admitted as State's 294. It is signed by the state and counsel for the defendant.
It will be admitted.
State's Exhibit 296 is a stipulation of fact signed by all parties, stipulating to latent print examiner Ashley Haas, H-A-A-S, from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Ashley Haas is a forensic latent print examiner with the GBI. She tested the following items in this case. 3 black gloves recovered from the bushes at the apartments at 285 Millage Avenue. GBI item numbers 2A, 2B, and 2C were physically and chemically processed for latent prints with negative results. She cut the gloves for this examination, but only after they were processed and photographed by the serology section. 2, Ms. Haas removed the barcode sticker from the Adidas black hat, GBI item number 39, and those items were visually, physically, and chemically processed for latent prints with negative results. The Adidas stickers themselves from the hat have been marked and will now be entered as State's Exhibit 150. 2 rocks from the crime scene. Evidence markers 2 and 3 from the crime scene with GBI item numbers 22 and 23 were physically and chemically processed for latent prints with negative results. 4, the styrofoam cup and straw from the retention pond at the crime scene, GBI item number 64A and 64B, were physically and chemically processed for latent prints with negative results. And that completes the stipulation at 296. Will be moved to admitting at this time.
Defense won't be heard.
No, Your Honor. And then finally this morning, State's Exhibit 295 is a stipulation signed by the state and counsel for the defendant, and is a stipulation of fact regarding ACCPD Sergeant Timothy Stewart and Amanda Blair. Sergeant Tim Stewart and Amanda Blair testified before this court on October 11th, 2024, at a Daubert motion in the above referenced case. All parties hereby agree to admit the testimony of these two witnesses from that hearing and the exhibits that were introduced during their testimony at that hearing into evidence at this trial for the fact finder to consider. The transcript at the Daubert motion of these two witnesses will be made part of this trial record. Sergeant Tim Stewart's testimony will be admitted at trial as State's Exhibit 290. And I have State's 290 here, which is the transcript of Tim Stewart's testimony from the Daubert hearing on October 11th of 2024, along with his exhibits, and I'll move to admit State's 290. And for the court's recollection, Tim Stewart is the expert that matched the defendant's fingerprint to the phone of Laken Riley's, to Laken Riley's phone. Stipulation of fact regarding Amanda Blair, her testimony, she was the peer reviewer of Timothy Stewart and agreed with his conclusion. Her transcript has been marked and will now be admitted as State's Exhibit 289. And that completes the stipulations for this morning.
Anything from the defense on those issues? Any objection to those stipulations?
No,
Okay. It's not. Let me make two announcements regarding yesterday's testimony and evidence. After hearing the music video translations, I do find that the evidence is not relevant and will not be considered. Those are the music videos. I think there were 3.
Yes, sir.
Also, as to the translated phone calls between the defendant and Layling Franco, those translations will not be admitted as evidence and will not be considered. After hearing the translations, I do find that it was more than contextual and therefore violates the Confrontation Clause of the Sixth Amendment.
Yes, sir. Understood.
All right. Anything else before we start with evidence? Okay, you may call your next witness.
State calls Sergeant Sophie Rebu. Would you raise your right hand, please, ma'am? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you will give today in the matter of the state of Georgia versus Jose Ibarra will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Please take a seat. If you could please spell your first and last name.
Sophie, and last name is Raboud.
Where do you work?
I work at the University of Georgia Police Department.
How long have you worked there?
I have been there for 14 and a half years.
Could you tell the court what is your rank, what are your duties and responsibilities, where are you assigned?
I am currently a sergeant assigned to our criminal investigations unit, also known as CID. I'm a supervisor, and I also investigate crimes that come into the department.
Tell us a little bit about your training and education.
I have over 1,700 hours of training in law enforcement classes. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and a master's degree in criminal justice.
Did you assist other people in your agency into the investigation into the murder of Laken Riley?
I did.
I want to ask you specifically about a trail camera located outside of Building S. First of all, if you could tell the court, do y'all have a camera there? Tell us a little bit about that camera and how it works and how long it's been there.
So we have it's a mobile trailer camera made by Compass Security that we move around as needed. At the time, it was actually placed at the end of Rogers Road and Millage Avenue Extension. It has 3 axis cameras that are attached to the boom that goes up that have been in place there for unrelated reasons.
When that camera is always recording?
Yes.
And are you able to, as a sergeant at the CID, access that camera from your computer?
Yes, that camera is actually connected cellularly through AT&T FirstNet to our campus safety camera system, which we are then able to access through the software that we use called Genetec.
And you can access that from your computer?
Correct.
What about the times that are depicted? Are there times depicted on the trail cam?
There are.
And on all the videos basically at your university?
Yes.
And are those times synced with something?
Yeah, they're connected to our servers that run the camera systems.
So you know that the times that we see in the trail cam, any video that's pulled by the university and at the university, are those timestamps accurate?
They are.
Were you asked to review that trail cam that we are talking about outside of Building S Rogers Road, for the day of February 22nd, 2024?
I was.
And did you?
I did.
How many hours of that trail cam did you watch?
Probably close to 50 to 75 hours. We've been reviewing different, not just that camera, but other cameras as well.
And at this time, I'm going to ask to approach the witness, and you may have 1 moment, counsel. I don't need to ask anymore, sorry. I'm handing you what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 279. And while you're looking at that, I need to talk to the defense attorney. Do you recognize State's 279?
I do.
What is it?
It's a thumb drive that contains video from the trailer camera.
And you see your initials on that?
I do.
And did you not only put the trail cam video that we're going to discuss on that thumb drive, but did you also load on that thumb drive a enhanced version of the trail cam that was done by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation's Cyber Center?
I did.
And is that also on that thumb drive?
It is.
Okay. Of the videos that are on that thumb drive, have you watched them all?
I have.
And do they all fairly and accurately, are they accurate recordings of the trail cam video on February 22nd of 2024?
They are.
State move to admit States 279, request permission to publish.
279 is admitted and newly published.
And I am just looking for the Garrett Morton stipulation so that I can add this exhibit number to that stipulation. We can do it at a break, but I just need to be reminded to do that because when we admitted that stipulation, we didn't have this exhibit number yet. Thank you.
Hey guys, we're still at 0 for this live stream, you guys. 0.
We don't have a cord. I was wondering why it wasn't showing. No, we do have a cord in.
Come on, you guys. Jesus.
The cord is in, but it's not tracking my screen.
Man, these shows have to be worth the amount of time as well. Okay, so if you guys can help support this one, that'd be great. You know, doing 2 hours
See
of
if I
nothing
project
is
it.
not. I could be doing something else. I can be making videos or working on some other.
Unplug it and plug it back in.
Thank you, Lisa Valenzuela. Let me turn off the. That.
Is that the same laptop?
Yes, sir.
Thanks,
It
Kami.
is. Let's try again. No, it's not seeing my exact screen. You see that? It's not. Well,
This is pretty crazy surveillance they got coming up here. Pretty good. This guy's just like. They asked him if he wanted to testify earlier too.
So, Sergeant, in general terms, we're gonna publish for the record the video that is labeled GBI Cyber Video. But before we publish it, tell us a little bit about the video itself. Meaning, what time frame? Let's start with what time frame does it cover? The GBI Cyber version. And did you individually go in and pull clips from a certain time period?
Yes.
Let me back it up a little bit. Did you look at the trail cam video?
Yes, sir.
And did you see a person of interest on the trail cam video wearing a dark hoodie and a hat and some gloves, carrying a cup?
I did.
When did you first see that individual in the trail cam video?
At 06:52 hours.
Okay, and if you got to translate that for us, is that 6:52 in the morning
It is.
on the 22nd day of February 2024?
It is.
And how long do you see that individual on this trail cam video that day?
He disappears at 07:56 hours
Okay, so 07:56.
in the morning.
And so that's about a little over an hour then. You see that individual.
Correct. In and out of camera view.
And the clips that we have on State's Exhibit 279 where it says Jose Ibarra, are those the clips, part of the clips that you captured during that time period?
Yes.
And then the folder that's labeled GBI Cyber, did they merge all those together for you?
They did. Because there's 2 camera views.
Okay, so we don't have to keep opening and closing the clips.
Correct.
The GBI Cyber video, did they miss one particular clip?
They did.
And what clip was that?
That was a clip at 9:42 a.m. of a blurb that we see in the woods going back towards the Cielo at Azulec apartment.
You're going to move into the microphone. The blurb that you see going into the what apartments?
Cielo at Azulec.
And is that a separate clip in States 279 that you've labeled Ibarra return?
Yes,
Did the trail cam also capture Laken Riley?
it did.
And did the trail cam also capture her roommates who went out to look for her?
It did.
So now that we've laid all that, we're going to start publishing the part that says GBI cyber video, okay?
Stipulation that by, we stipulated the foundation and the admissibility, but we're certainly not conceding that the labels that have been applied to the files are necessarily accurate. Thank you. Very well.
Before I publish, we've got open the GBI cyber folder. What is the date and time that we're looking at on the video? Can you show us?
It's February 22nd, 2024.
And before we talk about what we're about to see, let's get a little context. Is there a bus stop here?
There is.
Can you point to it with the pointer? There's a pointer right in front of you.
Right.
And in this frame, where's building S?
Building S is over here to the left.
And the road that we see that there's now a red line on, what road is that?
This part here is Village Avenue Extension. This is the road where they can't connect at the bus stop.
She cannot hear you. I can tell by the way that she's shaking her head. You're going to have to say that one more time into the microphone. Just say it again.
The road on the right is Village Avenue Extension. The road on the left is Rogers Road, and they come together at the bus stop.
In this frame, do you see a pathway to the Celia at Azul apartment complex?
I do.
Where is the pathway? Is that where the individual's coming out of at this point that we see in the frame?
Yes,
And is there another pathway to that apartment complex?
there is.
Can you show us that one as well? Okay, so that's further back. And if a person were to continue walking down Rogers Road, where would you end up?
At the very end,
Yes.
it makes a turn to the right, and it goes down to Village Avenue.
And is there a bigger road that is near here? Like, where's 10?
Loop 10 is back.
Okay, thank you. This bus stop, is that a University of Georgia bus stop?
It is.
I am going to pause at 6:53. In this frame at 6:53, do you see apartment 114 in building S?
I do.
Can you please point it out to the court? So it's the lit up door at the bottom floor of building S.
It's the southernmost tip of the building.
Isn't that creepy as hell, you guys? Look at that. Alright, so let's get this all set up in here. Hold on. I'll show you where this is right here. So that's right here. That's the bus stop. And I think that camera is like, it's weird. It's I think it's in this pole here, if you can believe that. I mean, I do. I actually think it's inside of that pole. There's nothing really else up in the sky. And that's where they had it on a map. So it's like there, and this guy, he's a creeper. I mean, you know that other nurse, by the way, or not another nurse, but that other house he tried to get into is right there. He tried to get into this one. That's the one he was trying to get into. I didn't realize it was right there. He was trying to get into that one. Remember that? And then she called the police and everything. I mean, that's just crazy. And you can actually see the unit, I think, if you... Yeah. I think it was right down there. He tried to get into that unit. And then you kept walking around like that. And so, yeah, no, I guess it's not that pole. Where the hell is this video taken from? Because there's the pole right there, so hold on. Well, this is 2019. Maybe they put something up since then. I don't know. I don't know where that is. It's up in the air right there. That's pretty bizarre, though, right, you guys? Isn't that? Where is that camera? Is it on a tree? Because it's about like... Okay, you can see the shadow of this pole right there. So... it's somewhere back here. Weird. A little more to the left, I think. So like that. So back here somewhere. Maybe all the way back in there then. On one of these trees or something. Pretty wild though. Pretty weird. So you can see him walking over there. Hiding in the bushes. I'm doing the zooming. Looks like he's even got his little white styrofoam cup in his hand too, right?
I'm going to stop it at 6:54. First of all, in the entire hour that this individual is around
Obviously
this area,
enhance it over here.
does he ever talk to anyone?
No.
Ever engage with any person?
No.
Do you see from 6:52 to 7:54?
Hey, by the way, do you guys ever drink this is not an ad. Okay, I wish it was, but do you guys ever drink this ice drink? It's pretty good. It's coconut, pineapple, 0 calories, or 5, excuse me, right there. Ice is called. It's pretty good. I know it's not a ad placement. I just was drinking some and I thought, man, that's good shit.
This individual go to the building next door.
Yes.
In that time frame, how many times does that person go to the door? We're going to see them each time.
6 times.
And can you see on your video of those 6 times?
And it's
that
cheap.
person actually
That's
opens the
right.
screen door?
Twice.
And the nature of this footage, how would you describe this footage? Is it great, grainy? I mean, how would you describe this?
At times it is good quality, at other times it is a little grainy.
Why is that? Is that just a function of the camera?
Yeah, it's connected cellularly, so sometimes when there's motion, it the quality gets better, but then when there's no motion, the quality disappears a little bit.
And did you make screenshots of the still video at some point in your investigation?
Yes.
Good for you,
What's similar
Paulette.
for verification purposes?
It
States
tastes good
Exhibit 5,
regardless.
States Exhibit 84, do you recognize those items?
I do.
What are they?
There are pictures of the individual that was seen walking around the building.
And are those some of the screenshots that you made?
Yes.
The state moved to States 285 and 284.
Any objection? They're admitted.
And were you all, or were you, in your investigation, attempting to identify the clothing and items that this person was wearing?
Yes.
And in your review of this video, were you able to see, first of all, gloves?
Yes.
Can you point to those? What color are they?
Black.
Were you able to see a cup?
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff I love, this kind of stuff.
Yes.
Can you point to that?
But if you're out there, you guys, you can help support this show here, that'd be great. This is going to be 2 hours and 37 minutes. Got to be worth the same time.
And then were you able to see a bag? And it may not be.
See, there's the
best
cup
in,
right there. I
video
told
at
you.
this point, but in one of your still shots, can you see a
Oh my
bag?
God, look at it, he's a monster. Look at his nose. It's got these.
Does it bring my finger?
So that's what people on YouTube do. That's not even a human being. Look at this guy. Look at that. He looks like Predator. That's not him. Right, because you're not really supposed to be looking at it like that. Zooming in.
Yes.
Okay, that is the way to do it.
Hey, thanks so much, Monica Rees from Australia. Good eye, mate. I got 89,000. Actually, that sounds more British. Never mind.
654.
You can see him there. He's got the beard and everything. Wish they did that in court, zooming in like that. That'd be pretty good. And there he is over there, walking away. You can see him right there too. But I like to get the better. See, he's kind of And there he goes walking around. This is sped up 35%. So he's not really walking that fast like that. See the seconds there? 40 for 1, for 2, 3. That's too fast. Like he's just over there stalking, waiting, watching. 6:55 in the morning. It's good shit. Yeah, he's just walking all over the place. Hiding, waiting, watching. He kept trying to get into this one house right there. See, look, here he goes. Look. He knows somebody lives in that one.
At 6:58, what door did that individual just walk by?
114.
114, right there. On the upper map, it's right there, right there. See, now he's stopped at the door.
We see him walking up to 114, and he's standing in front of the door. Now he's opening this outer screen door of that apartment.
You can really see it a lot clearer in that one. What a psycho. What was he going to do? And he's really aware of other people, too.
Now he walks back behind the building.
See, there's a guy right there. It's interesting that he still even checked there with that guy standing right there.
And now our next clip is at 7:06.
He
So that's
looked
how
at
Cyber
him.
just put it together. So we're not watching 5 minutes of dead video.
Correct.
But when you see him go to the back of the building, in the back of the building, are there windows in the back of the building?
No.
And are there windows to 114 in the back of the building?
Correct. And it's on the ground floor, so it would be at, head level, chest level of an adult.
What the hell is that? What the hell? The guy put like an advertising on Google Earth on his head. Yes, that's it right there. And he keeps walking around back here. Is that a different one? Because remember the other one had a window? Maybe it was on the back side that they were talking about.
This 7:09 clip where I'm pausing, where?
Let me go back a little bit. So there he goes. Now he's looking at the guy that was at the bus stop. Look at him, he's just over there. It's crazy. Kind of a cool program, whatever they're using to do that. He does get bothered when there's 4 or 5
This
people.
7:09 clip where I'm pausing,
I'll show you that.
where, in what direction is now this individual going?
He's walking south.
Okay, and the IM fields from here, intramural fields, you're familiar with those, correct?
Correct.
Where are they in relation to where he's walking?
They're to the east of that, southeast of that. But you can access it by going south and then turning east.
Would this individual be walking in the direction of the IM fields?
Yes.
Oh yeah, he's over there. This is 7:09 in the morning.
So now we're at 7:33. So between 7:09 and 7:33, do you see this individual on this trail cam?
No, I do not.
Okay.
That's right here. That's what this one is. That's where he just walked on that. And he came over to here. And then he comes back again. So, but that's out. See that road right there? That's this one. So he's like coming back like this. And then, you know, you can kind of see, like, there's the pond over there and everything. Now he's on that little path right now, coming back.
In what direction now at 7:34 is that individual walking?
He's walking north back towards building F.
He's like that. He's going like that. And when they say north, it means, because that's what it's supposed to look like. He's going like that. Hopefully I'm helping you guys out with the map and everything at the same time. See how he's walking back behind there? Now he's...
I'm going to pause it at 7:39. So at the last
like
clip that we
this.
saw at 7:33,
He just went like that.
did that individual go back behind building S again?
He did.
Okay. And I asked you about the windows in building S. And is that, since 276 has already been admitted, is that what the back windows look like in the back of that building?
It is.
And how they were also on that morning?
Correct.
I wish you give me the court 276. So he leaves in that direction at 7:33 towards these back windows.
Correct.
Yeah, her friends came out there and looked around. They found her Fitbit. I mean, like a, not Fitbit, the earplug. Yeah, so look at it right now. He's hiding underneath there. Let me go back a little bit. Yeah. So look at it. It's 7:39. And he's right down here. That's actually an entrance way to go up the stairs, so you can be up here if you wanted to. Thank you, Sandy Shirley. Oh, look, you can see him. See that?
now standing
He's smoking a cigarette.
Cutout window in the stairwell.
What is that cutout window?
There's a stairwell inside there. And there's
See?
just a
Stairwell, I can
cutout that
tell.
they have in there.
It's not a window.
And that's at 7:40?
Yes.
But look at all these people out there, so he's kind of hiding, you know. Crazy, huh? Jesus. So look at, he's right there, I guess. That's weird. That's kind of weird. Thank you, Lisa Noir. Appreciate you guys' support. He did want that one, but imagine, weirdly, he wants to get in there, and there's all these people around. He's that sort of jacked up. Weird. Psycho, you know. Sex creative maniac, as they used to call him.
What floor is he on now? 7:42.
He was on the second floor.
Yeah, there's never been a doubt. Even on the first day, it was obvious. If you have a thumbprint in blood on the back of the cell phone of a murder victim, yeah, you probably did it. You know what I mean? Like 100%. So look he was hiding over there, if you notice. Look. He's like underneath here as these people get on the bus. So I don't know if you were watching, but just a little bit before. Look how many people are waiting right there. Look at that. 1, 2, 3. Here comes the bus, you know. And he's right over there. I guess I'm blocking part of this. Let me move myself up to here.
At
Yeah.
7:43, is
There's
that
a window
ETA
right
bus?
there.
Does it pick up presumably students or
That's
people
where
that
he
are
was
waiting at the bus
standing.
stop?
Correct.
So the bus drives away. Well, you know what? I was thinking, I don't think you can. Watch this. A little bit, because he's down below them. So this is way higher than a person, can you tell? And look, he's over here, but down. So like, if you move the if you could put this at eye level, he could sort of be hiding down there a little bit, where just his head or something's visible. Hey, Lillian. See, look at him, he's over there. See, now he's on that second floor. And here he comes again with his cup in his hand. Now it's at 7:44. Because now he sees the bus is gone. So he's like, alright. I thought there was a time when there was like 4 people there. Now he walks by that
7:44,
one
what door
unit
did he just
again.
walk by?
And he goes around. He's going to look through a
In the
window in the
direction.
back, I think.
Now we're at 7:46, so hold on. So it goes from 7:44 then to 7:46, so 2 minutes are
Yeah.
missing because we clipped it together, correct?
Yes.
Right.
But you watched all.
I think he went
two
around
minutes
to-
in between of 7:44 to 7:46.
I think what he did was he went around to the back. Here. Wish it wouldn't keep putting me on the 3D one. I think he went around like this, and then she has a window, I think, in the back here. They would look at, and then he makes decisions based on that.
I did.
All right. We see him disappear at 7:44. Does he go again around the back of building S?
Correct, he does.
And how many minutes later does he come back again to the front?
2 minutes.
And that's what we're about to see here at 7:46.
Yes.
Yeah, so good. Just keep drinking it.
Does he touch the door at that time?
It appears he does.
Right?
Keeps checking the door. Now he's back there again? God.
And again at 7, now we're at 7:48. Again, we lost about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
In between 7:46 and 7:48, where does he disappear to? In what direction?
To the back of the building, and then comes back again.
2 minutes later, he's back at the front door.
Correct.
It's
And that's what we
mostly
just saw.
harmless?
Yes.
Mostly.
And now at 7:48, again, where does he go off to?
To the back of the building.
Now we're at 7:49.
He's back at the door, 114.
Does he touch the door at that time?
It appears it's hard to tell because of the quality.
Look at
of
this
it.
shit. What's he
But-
doing?
and
Like,
he doesn't open the door.
she's going to unlock it?
7:51 now.
He's just standing in the area.
And when he left the frame at 7:49, which direction did he go?
Back towards the back of the building.
And then at 7:51, we now see him again in the screen.
He did really want to get that one. Look how psycho this is. I mean, there's probably other people who do something similar to this guy. Look how he's just so brazenly standing
What do we
there.
see here at 7:54?
7:54. He had from that 51. He had gone back behind the building and come back to the front of the building, and he was standing at the door.
And can you see him open the door here
Yes.
at 7:54?
Yes.
And what does he do right there at 7:54?
He is ducking down.
He's right there. I'll go back. Here, watch.
What direction is he going now? What do we see here at 7:54?
7:54. He had from that 51. He had gone back behind the building and come back to the front of the building, and he was standing at the door.
And can you see him open the door here
Yes.
at 7:54?
Yes.
And what does he do right there at 7:54?
He is ducking down.
Because they're probably like, who is this? And they're looking through the thing. Now he's hiding.
What direction is he going now?
What a
Back
psycho.
behind the building.
And we just lost 2 minutes. We're now at 7:56. So you described he ducks down at 7:54.
Correct.
He goes to the back of the building,
Correct.
and then you don't see him again until 7:56. Is that right? So there's
Yeah,
2
it's the
minutes.
same time.
We don't see in
It's
this
just
clip.
before
because
he
we're sitting here for all
kills
this time,
Laken.
where you don't see him on camera.
That's right.
So you see him again at 7:56. And in which direction is he going now?
He's going south.
Towards.
The IM fields. And here he disappears into the woods. There's no path there, just woods that he goes into.
I just want to see that.
Now.
He's going south.
Towards.
The IM fields. And here he disappears into the woods. There's no path there.
Right.
Just
But you can kind of see him.
Woods that he has.
You can see him, a little bit of movement right there. Yeah, so that means on the map, here. Back to this crappy thing again. Ah. So he goes back, and then he cuts across. See, that's the thing, is I think there's a... I mean, look at it. It goes right to where his cup was on the ground there. So you back over here, but I guess they'll show all this.
Okay, and I'm going to stop it here. So, in this time period...
You know what's sad is we get to see Laken jogging, and then her parents, you can hear their family crying. Because there she is, just living her life, you know.
From 6:52 to 7:54, we've just watched all of that. Do you see, first of all, is this person alone or with someone?
Alone.
And have you watched, in all of your hours of video review in this case, have you seen Diego Ibarra?
No.
In this time period?
No.
Okay. Have you seen him before?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, you swapped him. We're going to talk about that, right?
Correct.
Do you know what Diego Ibarra looks like?
I do.
And have you looked for him in all of these videos that you've ever viewed?
Yes.
And on the 22nd day of February 2024, you ever see Diego Ibarra on this trail cam?
No.
Now I want to move on to the other clips, and then we're going to go back to your last clip that you made, okay? So what time are we at now?
9:05 a.m.
Look, there she's jogging right there. That's sad, isn't it? She's not running as fast
What
as I
part of
have.
the trail are we on?
This is Village Avenue Extension as it's coming towards the bus stop.
I have this sped up 35%.
What time? You said 9:05 a.m.?
Yes.
And do you recognize that individual we see in the screen?
I do.
Who is that?
That is Laken Riley.
Do you see if anything she has in her left hand?
She is holding her phone in her left hand.
Hey, thanks, Lillian. You can hear the family crying in there.
What direction is she running?
It's running south.
Yeah, so she is running like this. She just ran by right here, you guys. And then she ran by this road here and kept going, and now she's probably about like right there, something like that.
And was that also in the direction of the IM fields?
It is.
It sounds like the witness is sad, too. Oh, yeah, and then she cuts across up there.
She now went east.
So let's take a look at that. So where would she... I think there's just a way that you can cut across. Like you run up here and then right there, probably. Just kind of cut through. I think. Let me see. Let me look at that again. Yeah, it's got to be that. Because we were looking at the bus stop. We saw that. And she's running this way and then she just cuts across. Let me just try a couple more maps. Yeah. Yeah, so she just cuts across. There's no path over there. Just like a trail.
At 9:06 and 49 seconds.
Yes.
And those
And
are
now
her friends.
we are at a different time period. What time period are we at?
11:36 a.m.
What part of the...
Yeah, and these two people here are the friends that went looking for her. The one in the white there with the dog is the girl with the brunette that was smiling a lot. You could tell she's kind of small, and she even mentioned she had her dog with her.
The trail are we on?
This is Village Avenue Extension.
And do you recognize those two individuals that we now see in the frame at 11:36 a.m.?
I do.
Have you met them before?
I have.
And what are their names?
Sophia Madonna and Lily Steiner.
And the dog is...
Jen.
Is that Sophia's dog?
It is.
Which direction are they going?
They're going south.
Now what time are we at?
11:55 a.m.
And who do we see in the frame now at 11:56?
That's them coming back
Sophia,
down.
Emily, and Don Champ.
Now that it's the sun has come up. Now that it's the sun has come up, how would you describe the lighting that day?
It was, I think, partly sunny that day. It was a little bit windy.
I have to load the Gen Tech player for this. This may take 1 moment. This is why we decided not to play it this way. So you told us you watched while we're waiting for the Gen Tech player to load. This trail cam for the entire day. What were you looking for?
Anybody that matched the description or anything that would have been suspicious activity.
It's up. I'm going to now play the part of your 279 that says Ibarra return. First of all, I'm stopping here. At what time are we at?
9:41 a.m.
Is this still the same trail camera?
It is.
And in this frame, do you see the cut-throughs, for lack of a better term, to the Celia, how do you say it again? Celio
Celio at Azuli.
Say it one more time.
Celio at Azuli.
Okay, was that the name of the apartment complex at the time?
It was.
Okay. Can you spell that for Madam Court Reporter?
CIELOAZYLUK.
Celio at Azuli. Show us where the two cut-throughs are to that apartment.
You can make it bigger.
I can. One in the bottom screen and one in the middle of the screen.
Correct.
Play at 9:41. We see some red now coming through. Well, I just saw some red. Hold on, stop. I'll stop it. At 9:42 a.m., do you see the red?
Yes.
What's the red?
It's detecting motion. The camera.
And what do you see an image?
I see a blob. Appears to be a black blob.
And in what direction is that blob heading?
It's going west towards the Celio at Azuli apartments.
And during this time period, when you watched all of this trail cam video, did you see anything else suspicious or that got your attention, or any other people that got your attention?
No.
I want to ask you about a few other things that you did in this case, Detective. First of all, did you review the cell phone of Laken Riley?
I did.
And it was extracted by your department?
It was.
Could you toggle over, Your Honor? And I'm handing you what's been admitted, or as marked as an evidence that states 280. Do you recognize that?
I did.
What is it?
It's a PowerPoint that I created.
And did you create it from the data that was extracted from Laken Riley's cell phone?
It was.
And state permission, it states 280 and request permission to publish.
Any objection?
What are you talking about, Cindy? Oh, I thought you were talking about she had a genetic gene. All right, guys, if you can help support the channel, that'd be great. Put a comment in a super chat or something.
second page, if you could tell us, line 1 with my fingers, can you read it or do I need to give you a copy of it?
I can read it.
You can read it, great. If you could tell us, first of all, what was the time of Laken's last outgoing communication from her phone?
It was the 911 call.
Okay. Before the 911 call.
It was a text message to her mother.
Okay, you don't have to speak into the
It was
microphone.
a text message
Okay, well, a text message to who?
to her mother.
What
At what
time,
time?
though? That's what she asked. She said, what time was it?
At 8:55.
Okay, and do we see that here where my pen is?
Yes.
And what is the text?
It says, good morning, about to go for a run. If you're free to talk.
And did she in fact call her mother?
She did.
At what time?
At 9:03:44.
And between 9:03 and 9:11, is there any activity in her phone?
No.
At 9:11, what happens?
She makes a 911 call.
All right, and we heard about that already yesterday, about the SOS function, so I'm not going to ask you about that. So it looks like though your next page is about the 911 call, correct?
Correct.
All right. And did 911 in fact call her back?
They did.
How many times?
Twice.
What is the last text message that was read on her phone?
It was at 9:02 a.m.
And her phone was locked. Tell us a little bit about that. What time was it locked?
It was locked at 09:03:57, which was immediately after she made the phone call to her mother.
All right. And after the 913 phone call to her mother, the next activity is a 911 call?
Correct.
That we've discussed? And then you have that the phone was not unlocked again until forensically analyzed. What do you mean by that?
She never unlocked her phone through facial recognition again until we obtained that phone that night.
And extracted data from the phone?
Correct.
What time were the two 911 calls incoming to her after she called 911?
One was at 09:12 and 21 seconds and 09:12 and 39 seconds.
Were either one of those calls from 911 into Laken Riley's phone answered?
No.
At some point, did she get an incoming call at 9:24?
She did.
And who was that incoming call from?
Her mother.
Is that call answered?
No.
Is she then receiving texts from her family members?
Correct.
What are the time of those texts? First one down here at the bottom.
9:37, 38.
And what is the text? Who is it from?
Her mother.
And the content?
Call me when you can.
Is that text read or returned?
It's not read.
9:51 a.m.
She receives a call from her mother.
Is that call answered?
It is not.
9:53 a.m.
She receives another call from her mother.
Is that call answered?
It is not.
9:58 a.m.
She received a text message from her mother saying, you're making me nervous, not answering while you're out running. Are you okay?
Is that text read?
It is not.
Is that text answered?
It is not.
Next call at 11:04 a.m. Incoming from whom?
From her mother.
Is that call answered?
It is not.
11:12 a.m.
She received a call from her mother.
Is that call answered?
It is not.
11:19 a.m. An incoming call from who?
From her sister.
Is that call answered?
No.
11:47 a.m. Incoming text.
From her mother said, please call me. I'm worried sick about you.
Is that text read?
It is not.
Is that text responded to?
It is not.
12:07 p.m.
She received a phone call from her mother that was not answered.
12:20 p.m.
She received a phone call from her stepmother that was not answered.
And finally, were you able to determine when she was on her run if she was listening to music on her phone?
Yeah, she was listening to Spotify.
What is Spotify for the record?
It's an app where you can listen to music on her phone.
And just a few more questions, Sergeant. Were you the affiant on the arrest warrant for Jose Ibarra?
I was.
What was the date and time of his arrest warrant for the murder of Laken Riley?
It was February 23rd at 19:58, which is 7:58 p.m.
And that was signed by what judge?
Superior Court Judge Norris.
Norris? And in your affidavit for his arrest, did you note his height and his weight?
I did.
What is his height?
It was listed as 5'7".
And his weight?
It was listed at 156.
And at some point in your investigation into this case, did you have the opportunity to take a DNA sample in the form of a swab from the cheeks of an individual named Diego Ibarra?
I did.
Tell us a little bit about that, and while you're doing that, I'm going to hand you what has been marked as Stinks 281.
I made a search warrant, and it was signed by the judge on February 26th at 3:20 p.m. It was executed the following day around 10 o'clock.
How did you execute it? Just tell us what you did. Sorry.
I met with Diego Ibarra at the jail using gloves. I used a long Q-tip essentially and swabbed inside of his cheeks.
Okay. And after you swabbed Diego Ibarra in that manner, did you seal those swabs?
I did.
And were they delivered to the crime lab sealed?
Yes.
May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
And the state moves to admit states 281.
Any objection to 281? No, sir. 281 is admitted.
The witness.
Detective Woodward, good morning.
Well,
The exhibits, already forgot the number, but of the phone, the summary of the phone search of Ms. Riley's phone that you just went through, when did you prepare that exhibit?
probably about a month ago or so.
Okay. And since then, you were aware that,
Actually, I take it back. It's probably 2-3 weeks ago, actually. Sorry.
so then, I'm not sure if I can answer to my question. Was that before or after Sergeant Officer Dorfit had followed that surveillance?
That sounds terrible.
GBI, FBI, State Patrol even, right? And you had to, I guess, keep track of a lot of what the other officers in those other agencies were doing, right?
Correct.
And I noticed that in Athens-Clarke County reports, Officer Charlie Krischer, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, it looks like Krischer, collected some discarded clothes from the park. Do you recall that?
I was aware of it. I wasn't specifically there when he did that.
Okay. And then, did UGA take custody of these discarded clothes that he collected from the park?
We did.
You did, okay. And then, in your investigation, you became aware of some gloves that GBI located during a search of the Department 126.
Correct.
Did you ever go by Bolton Dining Hall where Diego worked to see if they used those gloves?
I did not.
And then John Carlos, the other roommate, one of the other roommates, you learned that he worked at WNB.
Thanks, Kami.
That's like a wings restaurant, so.
Correct.
Did you ever go by there?
I did not.
And you obviously were aware that the first person actually from that apartment that with whom contact was made was Diego, right?
Correct.
And that was in the morning of the next day, on February 23rd.
Correct.
And that officers noted that he had a swollen eye and a red mark on his face. Do you recall that?
Objection to outside her knowledge. The officer who encountered Diego or who was there on the scene with Diego was here yesterday. That is a question for him. This calls for speculation. She was not there.
I'll suspend the objection. Can I ask it this way? Did you note those details in your report?
I did.
And you also told us, you told us, you got a search warrant for Diego's DNA, right?
Correct.
And also a search warrant for his phone, Diego's phone?
Correct.
And you were made aware.
Objection, hearsay. It's going to be hearsay. I just know it is.
No, it's not. It might-
Okay, well,
not the first question.
This is a difficult fact because this is our fact finder as well as a jury. So
You became
if you're going to ask
aware.
the content of an search warrant affidavit, it's going to be hearsay.
Well, let me.
Shouldn't the judge do
Finish the question, and then I will hear the objection further.
Thank you. Were you made aware of a witness named Stephanie Slate?
Yes.
And the next question is, what did she say is hearsay?
Let's see what that is.
You were aware that Stephanie Slate gave an interview with police,
Correct.
and you included some of that information in your affidavits.
I did.
Another name that came up as a potential witness was a jogger in the park named Clementi.
Correct.
I'm blanking on his first name, but Clementi is the last name.
Joseph.
Joseph, thank you. And then also in our investigation, I believe you were involved in these interviews with names that came to your attention through some Grindr app contacts.
I was with Detective Harris for some of the men with him.
You made, I believe you were involved in an interview with Robert Thorne.
Correct.
Okay. And then were you, not sure about this one, Maurice Jones, were you involved in that one?
Oh,
Okay. And then Victor Chicano?
yes.
Were any of those people shown lineups, photo lineups?
Yes.
Did these lineups include Jose Blanc?
Yes.
testified you took out the warrants February 23rd in that evening, correct?
Well, then I
The arrest warrant.
Yes.
And then helped present the case to grand jury to get the indictment that we're here on today. That was sometime in May, I believe.
Correct.
But your work continued after that, and you kept abreast of any new information.
Correct.
Okay. And that were you made aware of the new information from the Butts County Jail a few weeks ago?
I was made aware I was not involved in it in any way.
And but you knew that that's where Diego was being held.
I knew based off that information I had not known previously.
Did that prompt you to re-interview Diego?
I did not.
Thank you, Leslie. Were you ready?
Nothing, Your Honor. May this witness be excused.
Any objection? Mr. Brown? Did he just ask that she be subject to recall? Okay. You said that you're subject to recall.
Thank you. You can call your next witness.
6 call Special Agent Lucas Bayer and community approach counsel.
Special agent and investigator.
And tell us about your training and your education, or your training for your job.
I have been in law enforcement since 2015. I started with Georgia Probation and Parole as a probation and parole officer. I was hired by the GBI in 2020 and went through Basic Law Enforcement Academy and also the GBI Academy. I have attended training for cell phone forensics. I have attended training for homicide investigations, child abuse investigations, and other general investigative tasks.
Are you a post-certified officer?
I am.
And were you the lead GBI agent assigned to investigate the murder of Laken Riley?
Yes.
Will you tell the court when were you assigned to that and what did you do in that regard in the very beginning?
I was assigned that role on Thursday, February 22nd, 2024. Shortly after 1 p.m., I was contacted by my immediate supervisor, Assistant Special Agent George Heather Strickland. She advised that the University of Georgia Police Department was requesting GBI assistance in reference to a death investigation.
I'm sorry, can you come into that microphone just a little bit more because I make sure that Madam Court Reporter and everybody can hear you. Thank you. So you were advised that the University of Georgia requested assistance. Go ahead.
Yes, I was advised that the University of Georgia requested assistance in reference to a death investigation, and I was dispatched to an area on campus known as the Intramural Fields and the Lake Herrick area and the Oconee Forest Park specifically. I was told that there was a deceased female that had been located in that wooded area. When I arrived at the scene, I met with UGA PD personnel, specifically Major Hammock, and he provided me a briefing of the information that they had gathered so far.
What time did you get on the scene?
I arrived on the scene at approximately 2 p.m.
And when you arrived on the scene, was Laken Riley's body still on scene?
Yes.
And did you assist your Special Agent Daniela Stewart in processing the scene, and were you on the scene that day?
I was on the scene that day. I did not assist in processing the crime scene. There were some things that I did assist with, such as gathering measurements. I also later helped look for a cell phone, but as far as the collection of physical evidence, I did not assist with that task.
Okay. And who did that task?
Special Agent Daniela Stewart, Detective Saunders from the University of Georgia Police Department were primarily assisting that task.
How long were you on scene that day?
I remained on scene that day until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning.
In your, and so then how did this work? Is GBI an assist agency? Tell us about that. You nodded your head, so you have to say yes or no for Madam Court Reporter. Is GBI an assist agency?
Yes, the GBI is an assist agency.
And so what does that mean?
The GBI rarely opens or has original jurisdiction over their own investigations. We are we are requested by chiefs of police, local sheriffs, judges, district attorneys, fire chiefs. So it has, or elected officials can request the GBI to investigate a case also. We do not respond as a standard police department or a patrol officer would to a 911 call. We have to be specifically requested by another law enforcement agency to initiate an investigation.
And after you were requested, your agency was requested in this case and you were assigned lead, did you work this case with the University of Georgia Police Department?
Yes, I did.
And specifically with Detective Preston Norris, did you two work together?
Yes, we did.
And have y'all been working together on this case basically since it occurred?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm going to hand you what has been marked for identification purposes as 286, 287, 288, 298, 297. I'm going to ask you to keep these in the folder while you're looking at them, please, and keep them low. recognize those exhibits?
I do.
What are they?
These are screenshots that I captured from Sergeant Maxwell's body camera footage. That body camera footage depicted the moments that he initially found Laken Riley's body.
The state would be to admit those item numbers.
Any objection?
No objection.
They're admitted 286, 287, 288, 297, 298.
One moment. Folder. I am going to tender those exhibits to the court in a folder for them to be discussed. So, Investigator Lucas, as part of your, Special Agent Haggard, as part of your duties and responsibilities in this case, did you do a great deal of studying of Laken Riley's clothing and how it was on the scene?
I did, yes.
Let's start first with what you personally observed when you arrived on scene at 2 p.m. Go ahead and start. First of all, just tell us what you saw about her clothing in general, and then I'm going to ask you some specific questions.
At the time that I arrived on the scene, Laken Riley was still located on the scene, as I previously stated. Her the garments that were covering her torso, jacket, sports bra, they were completely removed from her body and they were lying on the ground next to her. She was still wearing shoes, socks, black pants, and we could also observe underwear that she was wearing. They were tan or pink in color, and they were poking out from the top of her, the waistband of her running pants.
Her running pants, were they above or below her navel when you saw her body?
They were below her navel.
Okay. And did you see the back of her body?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So how would you describe the top of her pants versus in the front versus the back? Were they even or were they uneven?
They were uneven. The back of her pants were significantly lower than the top of her pants.
You could see her underwear protruding. What do you mean by that?
I could see the underwear protruding from the top of her pants on the front of her body. The waistband of her pants had been moved, and the underwear was poking out from the top. As I just stated, the backside of her running pants were pulled down, exposing the top of her buttocks.
Did you go back and review Sergeant Maxwell's body cam to see what her clothing was like when she was originally found by the UGP police officers?
Yes, I did.
And is that part of the photos that we've admitted for the court for his consideration?
That's correct.
Okay. How would you, first of all, describe her running tights and her underwear? Was it in the same manner in Sergeant Maxwell's body cam as it was when you saw it?
Her pants and her underwear were in the same condition in the body camera as when I physically saw them on scene.
Okay. So her underwear was protruding like you saw it on scene?
Correct.
What about the top layer of her clothing? Was it the same?
No.
Okay. So how would you describe the clothing that you've studied in Maxwell's body cam at the top of her body?
The clothing on top of her body had initially in the body camera when Sergeant Maxwell found Laken Riley. Her jacket and shirt and sports bra that she had been wearing were heavily manipulated, and the clothing was pulled up extremely high above her breasts, which completely exposed her breasts. The jacket and shirt had been pulled up on her back, and all of her clothing items were bunched up around the back of her neck, and they were also pulled up off of her shoulders from the rear. Everything was pulled forward.
Go ahead. I was asking about the sports bra. Did you see her sports bra?
Yes, I did see the sports bra. The sports bra had been manipulated so that it had become the outermost layer of her clothing. The sports bra, as I was able to see in the body camera, was wrapped around her upper arms. They were wrapped around her triceps, and I was able to identify that was the sports bra in the body camera footage because the bottom of the sports bra, as it would have been worn, the bottom layer that would have been below her breast was a pretty distinctive ribbed material, and I was able to see that ribbed material in the body camera footage wrapped around her triceps and her upper arms.
Were you also part of the investigative team in making decisions about what to test and what not to test in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you aware that Laken Riley's part of her body was swabbed by the medical examiner?
I'm aware of that, yes.
Like her neck and her wrists and her ankles. And were those swabs tested by your laboratory, the GBI?
No, they were not.
And why not?
They were not tested because we knew that there had been at least 3 males that had touched Laken Riley's body without gloves when they were rendering aid and trying to save her life. We also know that there were additional males that had rendered aid to Laken Riley after the initial 3 officers had tried to render aid to her.
And were those the EMS and firefighters?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, go ahead.
We also saw in body camera footage that Sergeant Maxwell and Corporal Bridges, as they were the first ones to discover Laken Riley, they were equipped with whistles, and they were blowing in whistles to try and signal other officers where their position was in the wooded area. As they were performing CPR, Laken Riley, we could see in the video that those whistles would occasionally touch her body, and it was likely that the whistles coming out of their mouth and then touching her body was depositing saliva on her person.
And at some point, you left the scene that day. Did you go to Bolt Dining Hall?
I did.
What is Bolt Dining Hall?
Bolton Dining Hall is one of the dining halls on the University of Georgia campus.
And what was your purpose for going there, and when did you go?
I went there on Friday, February 23rd, 2024, along with University of Georgia Police Department Major Hammock, in order to look at surveillance video from inside Bolton Dining Hall. We had received information that Diego Ibarra was employed at Bolton Dining Hall, and we went to the dining hall to look at the surveillance video to see if he had gone to work on the day of the murder.
And did you observe that video for yourself?
I did.
And were you with Major Hammock at the time?
Yes.
And just tell the court, what did y'all do? How did you see the video for yourself? Go look up and see it?
Yes, we went to the Bolton Dining Hall administrative office, and we were allowed to look at a computer screen, and the Genetech security system was pulled up on the computer screen, and we were able to go back to specific dates and look at those dates and the surveillance video associated with those dates.
And is the Genetech it's Genetech, the University of Georgia's Police Department audio and video surveillance system tied to their server?
Yes, it is.
And so are the times and dates stamped on their videos accurate?
Yes, they are.
And were you asked for the purposes of today to burn clips of the video that you saw for yourself on February 23rd of 2024?
I was.
And did you do that, burn clips of what you saw?
Yes.
And then what's been marked State's Exhibit 282, you recognize 282?
I do. This is a thumb drive that contains clips of Bolton Dining Hall surveillance video.
And do those clips fairly and accurately, and are they an accurate recording of what you personally saw for yourself on the 23rd day of February 2020?
The clips contained on this thumb drive are from the 20th, 21st, and 22nd.
My question was the day that you saw it for yourself.
Oh, yes, correct. Yes, these are accurate clips for that I observed on the 23rd.
So you pulled several days of video.
Yes,
You did that on the 23rd is when you saw it.
correct.
And so the video that's contained on 282 has other dates on it that precede the 23rd.
That's correct.
Is it an accurate copy of the videos that you saw?
Yes.
State you to admit states 282. No, Your Honor. And just like the previous video for the court and counsel, we attempted to narrow the clip so that we're not watching hours and hours of video. And so that's what we're going to do. They're still not as short as maybe they could be, but it's certainly better than multiple hours. So I am publishing with the court's permission 282.
I don't know, I always thought Paulette and Jessica Schubach are like, I always get them confused because they've been around about the same amount of time. And, you know, they just, it's just like their sisters.
What days did you look at and what days did you make clips of? Let's start with that.
I observed Bolton Dining Hall surveillance video from February 20th, February 21st, and February 22nd.
So we're first publishing the first clip, which is the 20th. And tell us the time stamp on this video.
The timestamp on the video currently is 3:06 p.m. on February 20th, 2024.
And in your investigation, first of all, have you had the opportunity to actually see Diego Ibarra in person?
Yes.
And so do you know him when you see him?
I do.
And do you see him in this video?
We will see him in this video.
All right, we'll just let it play. We'll just let it play.
Where does he work? I didn't hear what they said. Looks like some kind of a restaurant or something.
Diego Ibarra is currently on the screen.
Okay, well, I'll wait till he gets a little closer to the screen.
Did he shave his beard off? Probably not, because it was still on when they went over to his house.
I promised the media I would tell them when they could publish, and they could, a few things. This is what they
Oh,
can
the
start
cafeteria.
reviewing.
Yes, sir. Thank you for my
Yes.
yes. Then
All right.
wait, and then if I could come by,
That'll be fine.
What a loser that guy is.
It is possible.
So stupid. You can tell he's dumb as a box of rocks.
I'm pausing it at 3:08 p.m. Who is that individual?
That is Diego Ibarra.
What do you see him wearing and carrying?
He's wearing white shoes, black
Actually,
pants, a gray t-shirt, and
It does look like his beard's missing, though. I don't see the dark.
a gray baseball cap. He's holding a gray, small gray backpack.
Yeah, look at that. He's shaved. Ah, interesting. Wasn't that before, though? What was the date on this?
Does he have tattoos on his neck?
He does.
Do you see those in this video?
I do.
Please point those out for the court. Use the pointer next to you. It's right next to you.
Tattoos can be observed on the back of his neck here. There's also one behind his ear here.
Thank you.
This was a couple days before, or what?
Does that complete the 20th clip?
It does.
What was his shift time at?
I forgot the date of the...
His shift was from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m.
And I want to go to the next day, February 21st.
Correct.
I'm going to play that at this point.
So how did he grow all that hair that quick?
What are we looking at here at 4:22?
There's also Diego Ibarra arriving to work at Fulton Dining Hall.
What's he wearing?
White shoes, black pants, a gray t-shirt, a red and white baseball cap, a small gray backpack, and a blue jacket.
I want to ask you questions about that jacket when we see it in a little different position. And the backpack.
No, this is the guy, Jose.
This at 4:42 p.m. is where I am in the video on the 23rd.
Oh, is this Diego? Oh, they're saying Diego. Okay, I was wondering. Something didn't look quite right.
The backpack that you see in that.
His name was Jose, not Diego.
Is it same or different than one that Jose Ibarra?
No, we just figured it out.
It's different.
Okay, let me find that photo real quick.
Why do they care? Are they just looking at his brother? Oh, because he doesn't have a beard. Yeah, so there you go. That would be the... I think that would be the main thing. It's like you can't grow a beard that quick. That's what I'd be proving with that. So his brother can't be the person on the camera.
I'm hitting you, States Exhibit 247. It's already been admitted. Are you familiar with that image and that person?
I am.
Who is that person in 247?
This is a photo of Jose Ibarra.
And you see him with a bag in that photo.
I do.
Is it the same bag that we see here?
No.
Okay. How are they different?
Diego Ibarra's backpack is slightly larger. It also has 2 shoulder straps on it. This bag is smaller and has a single strap.
And as the investigator in this case, the GBI, did you personally, and many GBI agents along with you, look for that bag that you see in States Exhibit 247?
Yes.
Did you ever find it?
No.
I think I'd focus on the hair growth on his face more. Because you can't grow a beard like that in 2 days. That's more important. You know? There's no chance he could do that. You see the beard in the camera. There was that other woman too, and then he switched over to Laken after he couldn't get into her apartment. We showed that on video earlier.
Now publishing the 2/21/24 clock out.
If you missed the beginning of the show, you should watch it.
What time is it now?
Pretty cool
The timestamp shows 10:58 p.m.
surveillance footage.
on February 21st, 2024.
Wait, so he works there too then? Oh yeah. So he's got the beard and everything. There you go. Is that Jose? What did they say there? I missed that part.
Who do we see now in the frame at 10:59?
That is Diego Ibarra.
Okay, I want to talk to you about this jacket. So this jacket that we see him put on, I'm going to ask you some questions after we watch it, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Does it have a hood?
It does.
Does it have an emblem on it?
It has an emblem on the rear of the jacket at the top right shoulder.
When you see that emblem, I want you to tell
Okay, well people were saying he worked there, MP. So that's why I was wondering.
me to stop the video.
Okay. We can stop now.
So they're just using this
You see the emblem?
to show that it's
Point it
not
out.
him. That's all they're doing with this.
The emblem is located right here.
And what type of emblem is that?
It appears to be a logo for North Face.
And you're familiar and you have seen the jacket that was recovered in the dumpster in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that a North Face jacket?
No, ma'am.
Is this a different jacket?
It is.
MP's here just to correct people. That's all they're here for tonight. Yeah, but I think what they're trying to show is it's not him also in the video, because he doesn't have a beard on. I mean, I guess. I don't know. I haven't heard what they're saying. But how do you know that they knew that he killed somebody and went to sleep? So Jose does work there? Okay. Yeah. They're gonna have to remove all those other comments up there. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's possible he used his brother's
complete the 21st?
shit, you know?
It does.
Did Diego Ibarra go to work on February 22nd at 2024?
Yes, he did.
And what time do you see him on video on that day?
Mr. Ibarra is shown clocking into work at approximately 3:57 p.m.
So at 3:57 p.m. on the 22nd day of February of 2024, where were you?
It's not
I
him.
was at the crime scene.
Had Laken Riley's body already been discovered?
Yes.
Had you, ACC
See, they keep saying Diego, right? But it's Jose is the one that's on trial.
PD, GBI, University of Georgia Police Department, had all of y'all already responded to the scene?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many police officers do you think, state, federal, and local, had descended upon the University of Georgia at about this time?
I would have a difficult time putting an accurate number on that, but it was numerous law enforcement.
More than one?
Yes, more than one.
More than 10?
Yes, ma'am.
If a person were on this campus on that day, would they know something's up?
Yes, ma'am.
And Bolton Hall, is that on the University of Georgia campus?
It is.
So he shows up to work at what time?
He shows up to work at approximately 3:57 p.m.
And I'm going to stop it right there. 3:57 p.m., what is he wearing?
He's wearing white shoes, black pants, a gray t-shirt, a black and red baseball cap, and he has a small gray backpack. He also just deposited a gray or white jacket into the locker.
On that day, is he wearing a black Adidas baseball cap?
No, ma'am.
I think that's not a strong point or anything like that. It's so much later in the day.
That Diego Bar again at 3:59?
It is.
And the last clip now at 2:22:24. What time are we at?
Timestamp shows 11:03 p.m.
Do you see Diego Ibarra again?
Yes.
What's he wearing?
White shoes, black pants, gray t-shirt, currently wearing a black Georgia visor, and he's holding a white towel.
I'm not sure what they're trying to prove at this point with this stuff. They should probably say what they're doing. No, but we've already seen the difference. We don't need to keep seeing it over and over and over and over again. Yeah, we you know, it's obvious right away at the beginning. I'm just trying to figure out why they keep showing the different things.
What's he putting on now?
Who cares what
A
he's putting on?
gray or white hoodie and a red and black baseball cap.
Just kind of overkill, you know? It's like, oh yeah, okay. Yep. He's a different guy, yep.
On the 22nd day of February 2024, do you see him wearing a black Adidas hat?
No, ma'am.
I know, it's Diego. Yeah. None of these people are related, I don't think. I'm not sure why they're showing that. I don't know. The judge is. This is one of those. It's so you wouldn't want to risk giving it to a jury with the idiots that we know exist in the world. You just watch like Snae's channel for an hour and you see that wow, that's part of the jury pool. Yeah. So a judge is going to use logic, reason, common sense. That's what I think. I think I would almost always want to have a judge. To be honest with you, if I was on the prosecution. But it's up to the defense to do that. They're the ones that say, well, I want a judge trial. I would always want a judge trial. Every single time.
You're now pass the witness.
Right, well, he has a brother named Diego they were just showing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
You were speaking with Ms. Ross about the crime scene. I can start there. You were explaining your rationale for not testing some of the swabs taken from Laken Riley. Was it your call what was sent to the GHI lab in this case?
All evidence that was collected, including the swabs, were sent to the lab. We had collaborative discussions with the lab and amongst the investigative team what we would request to be tested. There was also input by lab personnel on things that they would not test.
Okay. And so the decisions were made by a combination of you and other GHI personnel, you would say?
That's correct.
Okay. So I want to talk to you about some black gloves. Did you ever observe black gloves collected from the residence where Jose Ibarra lived?
I did not personally see them, but I'm aware of them, yes.
Okay. Are you aware that they were not found in a box, but they were found in a drawer?
Yes.
Okay. You went to Bolton Dining Hall?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. While you were there, did you ask to see what kind of kitchen gloves they used?
I did not.
You were aware that Diego worked at Bolton Dining, as we just discussed?
Yes, ma'am.
And I just want to clarify for the record the times you mentioned him clocking in on each day. On February 20th, he clocks in at 3:08 p.m., is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
February 21st, he clocks in at 4:43 p.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
And on February 22nd, he clocks in at 3:57 p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
How far is Bolton Dining Hall from Diego's apartment?
Approximately 10 minutes.
And is 10 minutes a drive or a walk?
According to Diego, he generally took a bus or he had a friend take him.
And were you able to confirm that there was a bus route that could have transported him from near his apartment to Bolton Dining Commons?
Yes, ma'am.
And would that bus route include a stop near Rogers Road, that bus stop for UGA buses?
Yeah, it would.
Okay. So you regularly use that bus stop?
Yes, ma'am.
And sorry, you said it was about 10 minutes, you said?
Approximately, yes, ma'am.
You were at the back to the woods. You were at the crime scene for several hours, you said?
Yes, ma'am.
And did Tim Stewart from the Athens Police Department ever come by the crime scene?
Yes, ma'am.
What time was that?
That was early on. I believe he met that at the crime scene when I initially got there. At some point, he departed the scene.
Would that have been like 3 p.m.?
All right, you guys, any chance to help and support the channel tonight? We're currently at 1/8 of like a normal goal for a show this long.
Or?
Yes, ma'am. That was early on.
Okay. And you mentioned that several male individuals had attempted to render aid to Laken Riley without gloves. Were those the initial responding UGA police officers?
Yes, Sergeant Maxwell, Corporal Bridges, and Sergeant Epps.
Are you aware if the EMS personnel wore gloves when they handled her?
They did. The body camera depicts the firefighters and the paramedics wearing gloves.
And you mentioned you had a chance to, in detail, observe Ms. Riley's body.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you notice that she had fingernails that stuck out from her fingers a little bit?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you notice that there was blood on the inside of the fingernails?
Not personally. I didn't get that close. I didn't want to disrupt the scene
Sure.
Beyond what I needed to as a case agent.
Did you review the photos later?
Yes, ma'am.
Did they show that there was blood underneath her fingernails?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it fair to say you were kind of in charge of and aware of any investigative action taken by the GBI in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're aware of that there were 2 interviews conducted with Juan Carlos,
Yes, ma'am.
and one of those was on February 22nd, the day, or sorry, February 23rd, the day that you all got involved.
Yes, ma'am.
And there was a follow-up done, I believe, in March, was it March 4th?
I believe it was March 4th. If I can reference my notes
You may.
momentarily, I can give you confirmation of that. Yes, Monday, March 4th was the follow-up.
Similarly, our Hannings was interviewed on February 23rd,
Yes, ma'am.
and then you were involved in a follow-up interview with him.
That's correct.
And what day was that follow-up interview?
That follow-up interview was conducted on, one moment please, I apologize, Friday, March 1st.
Are you aware a follow-up interview was done with Diego Ibarra?
It was not.
You're aware the GBI agent found black and orange latex gloves at a trash can across from the apartment on February 23rd.
Yes, that particular trash can was across South Village Avenue, near a gas station.
Were those gloves collected?
I believe so, yes.
Were they tested?
That I do not know. Those gloves were determined to not be of evidentiary value because they were most likely associated with law enforcement personnel that had been in the area on the 23rd. Or
Did you review footage to confirm that?
not personally, no, ma'am.
And then you're also aware that there were some discarded clothes found near the intramural fields on February 23rd?
There were some discarded clothes that were located behind the Argo apartment complex near a walking trail. I am aware of the collection of those clothes. I also observed the officer's body camera of the collection of those clothes.
And were those clothes tested?
They were not. The clothes were determined to have been lying on the ground for an extended period of time. I did discuss those clothes with crime scene and forensic personnel, and we determined that it was unnecessary to test those clothes because they were not of evidentiary value.
The contents of Diego's bag, did you ask that those items be tested?
No, ma'am.
Including the black gloves that were found on them?
Correct.
Thank you. No further questions.
Was there any observable blood on Diego's black gloves that were in his bag?
No, there was not.
And if there was, would you have sent those to the crime lab?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to say, do you use the word Argo Apartments? Does it also have another name?
It does.
Can you tell us that name, please?
The name of the apartment complex at the time of the incident was Celio at Azalyuk. It is also currently known as the Grove at 5 Points.
And you were asked about clothing that was recovered near there, and you said something about it had been on the ground for some time. What do you mean by that? What did you observe?
The clothing had vegetative matter on it, sticks, leaves, twigs, pine straw, and the clothes appeared to have been wet several times and dried out several times, and they had the appearance of older articles of clothing that had been lying on the ground for an extended period of time.
And if there were any blood on that clothing, would you send it to the crime lab?
Absolutely.
And Diego was interviewed by you, is that right?
That's correct.
What was the date?
That interview was conducted on Friday, February 23rd, 2024.
And did you ask him questions?
I did.
And did he answer your questions?
He did.
And the gloves that were recovered inside Jose Ibarra's apartment, D126, were they in a common area where anyone could access them?
Yes.
And the trail cam video from 2/22 of 24, the one that building S, you know which one I'm talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
You're familiar with that video?
I am.
Do you see Diego on that video at all that day?
No.
Can I have one moment, counsel?
Yes. Councilman Sped.
Just one minute, Your Honor. When you interviewed Diego Ibarra, you had a chance to observe his demeanor,
Yes, ma'am.
and he was not particularly helpful.
He answered all of my questions. We conducted an interview for approximately an hour and a half. He was calm. He was generally respectful. He answered all of my questions.
But you would agree that he was not particularly helpful.
don't know if I would agree with that statement. If he answered my questions and he agreed to talk to me and we conducted that conversation for an hour and a half, I would say that was helpful and an overall positive interview.
But you chose not to re-interview him later.
I did request to re-interview him later. He is represented by counsel on some unrelated charges, and I requested permission to interview him from his attorney and was denied that opportunity.
I don't have any further questions.
Just briefly, the unrelated charges, are they federal court?
They are.
And what are the charges?
They are possession of a fraudulent green card.
And in your hour and a half that you spent with Diego on the 23rd day of February 2024, did you appear to be injured to you?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you see it? It looked like he'd been in a fight or anything?
No, ma'am.
See scratches on him?
I did not.
That's all I have.
Anything else, Sped?
Nothing further.
Any excuse?
Yes, sir. But maybe hopefully, I'll work it out.
Okay, you can go down. Thank you, Judge. We'll take a 10-minute recess.
At this point, they're going to call their witness and then we'll go back to our case.
There's an ACCP officer who's off shift.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get him in so he can get back to work tonight. Officer Charlie Krischer.
While that's happening, and just to make sure it's clear on the record, I need to go over with your client his right to testify or not testify, but if you agree for me to delay that until the state's case is done, just want to make sure that you had that opportunity.
Yes, sir. I think that it would be helpful to do that after lunch, I believe, once the state rests, and that'll give us an opportunity to speak with Mr. Moore one last time. If you would please, Officer Krischer, raise your right hand. Do you swear in the matter for this court to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. All right. Have a seat. If you could, just state your name.
Oh, I see what you're saying, Lillian. I wasn't sure what you're talking about. But you're saying that you could just tell. Yeah, I've told people I speed it up. When people are moving around and walking, you can see it's not normal speed.
Spell the record.
Yeah, my first name is Charlie, CH.
Oh, it sounds like Sharon Gornick's daughter passed away. She was sick for a while, but she was only 40 years old, so maybe we can put some positive vibes out there for her. Sharon Gornick. Alright? So put out those vibes. The little prayer hands. Yeah, it sucks, huh? So she just texted me a while ago.
K-R-L-I-E, last name Krischer, K-R-I-S-C-H-E-R.
That's correct. Officer Krischer, I'd just like to direct your attention to February 23rd of this year. You're at who do you work for?
I work for the Athens-Clarke Medical Department.
Okay. And were you working that day?
Yes.
All right. What were you doing that day? If you could just tell the court what your role in this investigation was.
So on that day, I was working my normal shift, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. I was called on scene in reference to translation, because the suspects were Spanish speaking only. My first language is Spanish, so I was called on scene. But it looks like the officers already there conducting interviews. So my supervisor just told me, go on the east side of the apartment complex, walk around, see if you see anything, and call it in, and we go from there.
Okay. And so just to clarify, your role was to just kind of patrol and do police work, look for anything suspicious.
Correct.
All right. Did you, in your search around that apartment building, did you ever find anything that you thought was suspicious?
Yeah, by the trailer, there's like a path where people can walk in. Behind, there's a stop bus in that area. Behind it, there's like a some trees. I found a pile of clothing. It seems like it's been there for quite some time. It was wet. So I called it in, and University of Georgia officers arrived and collect those items.
Okay. Did you make a report about finding that pile of clothes, or was your role to just call that into the officers?
Correct. My role was just to call it in and to the officers.
Okay. Do you remember who those officers were that you called that into?
Who's that are you talking about, man?
And again, just to clarify, you thought something was suspicious, and it was this pile of clothes.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what was included in that pile of clothes?
I don't. All I know is there was a pile of clothes in there. I didn't touch it, didn't process it, or anything.
Okay. Did you have any further role in any of this investigation?
In regard to the clothes? Or?
No, just in general. Did you transport anyone for?
Yes, I did transport Ibarra
Okay.
to our East Precinct.
All right. And you did make a report about that. Did you collect some of his clothes? Okay. And was part of that collection, was there a hat that you collected? Could you describe that hat, please?
It was a black Adidas hat. It had the logo.
And I guess for a little puppy paws up there too. I didn't see her comment earlier. Man, it's crazy. Shitty times.
The normal logo, light color.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Was he wearing that at the time that you collected it?
When I arrived and when I arrested him, he had it on his side, he put it on the side of the window with his backpack.
Okay. Was he ever wearing it when you saw him?
No, to my recollection.
Okay. When you arrested him, did he say that it was his?
Yes, he said that it was part of his belongings.
Okay. And that's why you took it?
Yes.
All right. That's all the question I had, Judge.
Good afternoon. Good morning. You first told us that the clothes had been there for quite some time. What did you observe that made you think?
It was wet and it had a lot of debris on top, a lot of gravel, stuff like that, and it seemed very tarnished.
And you did call the University of Georgia Police Department, they responded and collected the clothes?
That's correct.
And you just said when you transported Diego Ibarra, did he tell you that was his hat, or did he say that's part of my belongings?
That's part of my belongings.
Meaning of all the stuff that he had on that day, that was
Correct.
his, right?
Correct.
Did he say it was exclusively his hat?
No, I did not ask any more questions. I just asked, is this part of your stuff? And he said yes.
That's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Any objection to him being excused, Ms. Ross?
No, sir.
You're excused? So we're back to the state's case?
We are back to the state's case, and because we're just in this order right now to make it easier, I'm just going to recall Sergeant Daniel Saunders. He's outside.
Sergeant Daniel Saunders?
Raise your right hand, please, sir. Please swear affirm the testimony you will give today will be in this matter of the state of Georgia versus Jose Ibarra will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth shall be God.
Yes.
Please take a seat. State and spell your name.
Daniel Saunders, Daniel, last name Saunders.
And are you the same Daniel Saunders that testified, I believe, on Friday?
Yes.
And in this particular case, Sergeant Saunders, now Lieutenant Saunders, did you receive clothing from ACCPD, specifically Officer Kushner, Kirchner, the guy who just left? Did you see that guy leave?
Yes.
Okay. Did you receive clothing from him that was recovered on the 23rd day of February 2024?
Yes. Officer Hubbard with our agency collected clothing items that he had found.
Did you look at those items?
Yes.
Did you see any blood on those items?
No.
Did you see anything suspicious about those items?
No.
Could you describe those items? Did they appear to be weathered?
Yes.
Tell us what you saw.
The pair of pants had green rust corrosion on the button that had kind of spread away from the button. They were stained with dirt, and they looked like they'd been there for a while. Outside.
Well, outside. Exposed to the elements.
Correct.
And if you had seen blood on those items, would you have tested it?
Yes.
Would you have sent them to the crime lab?
Yes.
In your opinion, do those items have anything to do with this crime?
I don't believe so.
That's all I have.
You're aware that there at least one officer who disagreed with your assessment that the clothes have been there a long time.
I'm not sure how he determined that they had been there a long time or a short time.
But you're aware that somebody else observed the clothes disagreed with your assessment.
I can say Officer Hubbard wrote in his report that it appeared that they had been there recently.
No further questions.
When you observed those clothing items, where were you?
I was at our agency at the station.
And in your laboratory?
Yes.
Were you able to pull them all out and look at them individually?
Yes.
Is it your opinion they were all weathered?
Yes.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you.
Next witness.
Valencia Johnson.
Ms. Johnson.
Five years.
What is the trace evidence section?
So the trace evidence section is where we collect materials. So trace evidence are materials that are usually microscopic in nature that can be transferred between persons and objects when they come in contact with each other.
What are your duties in the trace evidence section?
My main duty is the collection and preservation of trace evidence, primarily hair and fiber, which is called processing.
Were you working in that capacity at the GBI in February of this year?
Yes, I was.
And you're still working in that capacity today?
Yes.
I want to direct your attention to your case number 2024-100-5107. What are the individuals associated with that case number?
Laken Riley and Jose Ibarra.
And when an individual or when items of evidence come into the crime lab associated with an individual, are they given their unique case number?
Yes.
And is the unique case number for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation for the murder of Laken Riley 2024-100-5107?
Yes.
And when items of evidence come into the GBI, then do you all give them a case number inside the GBI? The items of evidence individually. Meaning, if I send you 100 items of evidence for Laken Riley, do you number them in the crime lab?
It's all the same case, but they get unique numbers.
So under that same case number, each item of evidence will have a unique case number.
Yes.
So with that background, I want to ask you a few questions about items of evidence that you observed and saw and processed in this case. I want to first ask you about some gloves, black gloves and a jacket that you received. And just for the ease, if you needed your February 2026 report. Did you receive 3 black gloves and a navy jacket?
Yes.
Could you tell the court, first of all, what date did you receive those items and what are those item numbers for the GBI?
For
your recollection with your report, just let us know that.
Okay. I received those items on February 23rd, 2024.
What is the GBI number for the 3 black gloves that you received?
Item 2.
And what is the GBI number for the jacket?
Item 3.
I'm going to hand you some evidence that has already been admitted. And here's some gloves that you need. I'm going to hand you first what has already been admitted as State's Exhibit 149. And since I'm already up here and I don't want to move back, 147, I'm going to put your feet, all right? So first, starting with State's Exhibit 149, do you see your name and initials on that exhibit?
Yes, I do.
And what is the item, the GBI item number for that exhibit?
It's item 2.
And are there 3 black gloves inside of that exhibit? So let's look at those.
Yes, there are.
Were you the first person at the crime lab to receive?
Yeah, I boost the audio up a lot.
I was the first person to work on the gloves.
They're so
And
low
to
on
work on
the
those gloves, or when you worked on those gloves, first of all, what did you do to those 3
trial.
gloves?
I processed them for possible hair and fiber.
And how did you do that?
I looked at them under a stereo microscope.
And what did you do with the things that you had, or did you recover anything from these?
I recovered possible hair and or fiber from item 2A and item 2B.
And that's the point. Did you give the gloves an individual association 2A, 2B, and 2C?
Yes, I did. I sub-itemized them.
And did you observe the condition of the gloves when you received them at the crime lab?
Yes, I did.
What were the condition of these gloves when you received them?
The gloves were damaged. They had holes and possible stretching.
When you say holes, might be a silly question, but what do you mean by holes?
There's like a hole in the item, so the outside, you can get inside them through that hole.
Okay, you could see through them.
Yes.
All right. And after you processed the gloves, where do they go in your agency from there?
They were transferred to the forensic biology section.
What do they do in forensic biology in general?
In general, so they test for serology, which are fluids, and DNA.
And when you received the gloves and you observed the holes and you collected items of evidence from it, did they pass on to forensic biology?
The collected materials, we keep them in our section.
The gloves themselves went on to forensic biology?
Yes.
Right. The jacket, did you receive, if that's your feet, if you could look at that? I think it's case 147. And do you recognize that item?
Yes, I do.
And did you process that item at your laboratory?
Yes.
What did you do to the jacket, case 147?
I processed the jacket by tape lifting it, except for the neckline and cuffs, and I did a visual with a magnifying glass on those areas.
Did you observe hair on that jacket?
So we don't usually note where possible hair and or fiber is on the
on the item exactly because it can move around in the bag, but there was possible hair and or fiber collected.
And do you recall seeing it on the jacket when you collected it?
Yes.
And the hair that you collected off that jacket, what did you do with it?
They were packaged and kept in our section in case it was requested for them to be analyzed by our hair or fiber analyst.
And looking at that jacket, do you recall where on the jacket you saw hair?
I do remember one place where there was possible hair and or fiber around a button.
And the jacket, when it left you, after you processed it, where does it go from after leaving you?
After leaving me, it was transferred to the forensic biology section.
Did you have the opportunity at your laboratory to look at the clothing of Laken Riley?
Yes, I did.
Did you find a key in Laken Riley's clothing?
Yes.
Where did you find her key?
I found the key in her jacket.
Did you have the opportunity to process the fingernail clippings of Laken Riley?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to need you are marking for evidence of states 319. And just look, 319. We have lots of things marked already in between, photographs, and we will leave this up to the medical examiner who's also. States 319. Do you recognize States 319?
Yes, I do.
Do you see your unique GBI case number that is associated with Laken Riley on States 319?
Yes.
And do you see your initials on 319?
I do.
What item number within that case number did you assign or the GBI assign the fingernail clippings of Laken Riley?
Item 18.
And what did you do? And is that what you're holding right inside of item 18?
Yes.
Is it moved to States 319 and link it up with the medical examiner behind her?
You object to 319?
I just think it's premature. No objection.
Do you see your initials in 319?
Yes.
Are they at the bottom there?
Yes.
Okay, let me just show it to the court here. So what did you do to States 319?
I looked at the item under a stereo microscope.
And what, if anything, did you observe when you did that?
I observed the nail clippings, but I did not find any possible hair under fiber.
So no hair or fibers underneath the fingernails?
No.
And did you look at the right hand and the left hand?
Yes.
And if you had found hair or fibers, where would they have gone?
They would have been collected and kept within the trace evidence section.
I'm going to ask you a few more questions about a few more of the items. Did you look at a cutting from a tree?
Yes, I did.
And what did you do to the cutting from the tree?
I performed a visual with a magnifying glass and removed any possible hair under fiber I found.
And I'm going to hand you, and did you look at some rocks?
Yes.
I'm going to hand you all these items at the same time. What's already been admitted. What's already been admitted as States Exhibit 89. What's already been admitted as States 87 and 88. And again, my numbers are very different than your numbers. If you could first with 89, do you recognize States 89?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It is a cutting from a tree.
And did you process that in the trace evidence section?
Yes, I did.
And just so we can be clear, what GBI item number was States 89 or is States 89?
Item 24.
Item 24 for the GBI.
Yes.
All right. And did you, what if anything did you discover on that exhibit, States 89?
I removed possible hair under fiber.
And was that sent on to, where was that stuff sent on to?
After I was done, it was transferred to the forensic biology section.
And then States Exhibits 87 and 88. Do you recognize those items? And you can actually take them out. Do you, first of all, do you recognize your signature on those items?
Yes, I recognize my initials.
And do you recognize your unique GBI case number?
Yes, I do.
And if you could tell us for States 88, which is in your left hand, what is your GBI case item number for that one?
Item 23.
And in States 87, what is your GBI item number for that?
Item 24. 22, sorry.
So 22 and 23. And what are these items physically? And if you need to, you can open them and look at them. Do you need to? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I opened one of the States 88, you opened 87. So 87, did you see that item?
Yes, I did.
And what did you do with States 87 at the lab?
I performed a visual exam using a magnifying glass and removed any possible hairs and fibers I found.
And did you see hairs on that item?
Possible hairs and fibers.
Thank you for correcting me. Possible hairs, right?
Yes.
And did those hairs go on to your trace evidence section?
Yes.
Thank you. And then I'll put that back in while you look at State 88. I'm going to ask you the same question about State 88. What did you do to States 88?
I processed this item. I performed a visual exam using a magnifying glass, and I removed any possible hairs and fibers I have found.
And did you find possible hairs or fibers?
Yes, I did.
And did those go on to your trace evidence section?
Yes.
She probably looks like she's moving quicker because I sped it up 35%.
I have 1 moment, Your Honor.
She's probably like thinking I'm smarter than all
I
of you.
believe those are my questions, except for one final thing. The key that you found in Laken Riley's jacket, did you know what color it was in your report?
It was pink.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Cross-examinations are just a complete waste of
Couple
time.
questions, please. The gloves that you mentioned.
Basically, they're just going through the motions, you know. Oh, we did our due diligence, blah, 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 blah. They haven't made one good point on any element of anything in this case. Because there isn't anything.
Did you?
What the heck, Sharon? Come on, Jesus. Well, thank you, but I mean... And anyways, she said, thank you all for your kind thoughts and prayers, she said. But, anyways, thank you, but you didn't have to do that. Jeez.
Photograph them?
No, I did not.
The damage or the hole that you testified about, did you measure that at all?
She doesn't realize she's a freak,
And then what
you
about
guys. She doesn't realize
the
that.
possible hair or fiber that you collected from the other items? Did you photograph that when you remove it from the item?
No.
Thank you.
Were they photographed by the forensic biology section of the guns? The gloves?
Yes, they were.
All right, thank you. That's all I have.
I don't know. She said, tell your freaks thank you. And I said, well, you're a freak too. And she says, no. Or wait, what was the reply? Hold on. I'll tell you just that one thing. She said, shut up. Yeah. Anyways. She's a freak too. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Alexander Colvin.
Perform casework in the areas of gunshot trauma residue, or GSR, paints and polymers, fractured materials or physical fit, as well as some general unknowns and pepper spray and bleach cases.
Are you a microanalyst?
Different areas of analysis and complete those training programs as well. Work phase where you're doing real casework while your trainer is going through these technical processes with you.
And have you completed all of that training?
Yes, I have.
Have you previously been qualified before as an expert in the field of microanalysis?
Yes, I have.
And is plastics and polymers like a subsection of microanalysis?
Yes, it is.
How many times have you been recognized an expert in the field of microanalysis?
Generally about 84 times.
And would that include in the superior courts of the state of Georgia?
Yes, it does.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would tender Mr. Colvin as an expert in the field of microanalysis.
Objection. Would you be allowed to testify as an expert in the area of microanalysis?
And Mr. Colvin, I'm going to hand you some items. I'll see what's here.
That's right. A blank slate. Any one of us would be an easy target.
Oh, you have your own. Okay. I'm going to hand you 2 items, dates 149 and 244, and I'm going to ask you some questions. And I'm going to stay away from you when you look at these.
Okay. Okay.
Do you recognize both of those items?
Yes, I do.
I want to start with the first one I handed you. Was that 149? You see my state exhibit sticker?
Yes.
Okay, let's start first with that. So my state exhibit sticker 149, you recognize your unique GHI case number associated with Laken Riley on it?
Yes, I do.
And do you see your initials on that as well?
Yes, I do see my initials and date when I began my examination, as well as my initials on the seal when I completed the examination.
What is your unique item number for state exhibit 149, the 3 black gloves that I just handed you?
That is item number 2.
And were they sublabeled 2A, 2B, and 2C?
Yes, they were.
And the next item that I handed you is State's Exhibit what?
State's Exhibit 244.
Do you recognize State's 244?
Yes, I do.
And you see your initials and your GDI unique case number on State's 244?
Yes, I do, as well as the initials on the seal when I completed the analysis.
And State's Exhibit 244, does it have 3 gloves in it as well?
Yes, it does.
And what unique item number were those 3 gloves given at the crime lab?
Item number 40, and sub-itemized as item 40A, 40B, and 40C.
And in your report, is it noted where item 40 came from?
The gloves from item 40.
And that's your item 40 for the record?
Yes, my item 40. Your Honor, may I look at my notes, please?
And yes, they're going to match. Okay. I want to listen to, is it this one? This lady. I think she's the pathologist. I mean the, the medical examiner.
State calls Dr. Michelle DeMarco.
Kind of cool being able to zoom around like this using Premiere. Like you can just almost kind of.
If you could raise your right hand, please, ma'am. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you will give today in the matter of the state of Georgia versus Ibarra will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes, I do. Would you please take a seat, state, and spell your first and last name?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Dr. Michelle DeMarco, MICHELLEDIMARCO.
Good afternoon. Where are you employed?
I'm currently employed at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation in the Medical Examiner's Office.
What are your duties and responsibilities there?
I am an associate medical examiner, so my duties include performing autopsies to determine the cause and manner of death, as well as testifying in court.
How long have you worked as a medical examiner for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation?
I've been an associate medical examiner for 3 years now.
Could you tell the court a little bit about your training and your education that qualifies you for your job?
Of course. So starting out back in college, I had a 4-year degree in a major in biology with minors in chemistry as well as biomedical physics. So I have my bachelor's degree in 2011. Following that, I did 4 years of medical school at the Medical University of South Carolina in Charleston, South Carolina, to get my MD degree, or medical doctor degree. Following that, I moved to Atlanta to have a 4-year residency at Emory. My 4-year residency was in anatomic pathology as well as clinical pathology. Following that 4-year residency, I entered my first fellowship. I spent a year at the Children's Hospital of Atlanta for a pediatric pathology fellowship. Following that, I entered my second fellowship with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation in forensic pathology.
Are you licensed to practice medicine in the state of Georgia?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been so licensed?
Since residency training.
What year is that?
I started residency in, oh gosh, what year was that? Sorry, I started residency in 2015.
Are you board certified?
I am board certified. I am board certified in anatomic pathology, clinical pathology, pediatric pathology, and forensic pathology.
Do you belong to any professional organizations?
I have been a member in the past as a trainee.
You got an ad, huh?
Currently,
Nice.
I am not paying any membership dues for those organizations.
Is it your duty to perform autopsies?
It is.
What is an autopsy?
So an autopsy, you can think of it as 3 components. So the first is our external examination, which consists of essentially a physical exam head to toe. Following that, we have our internal examination, where we will remove all of the organs and examine them and dissect them. Following the internal portion, we will collect evidence and submit testing such as toxicology, and that's kind of the third ancillary aspect of our autopsies. And our autopsies are performed to determine the cause and manner of death.
How many autopsies have you performed over the course of your career in training?
Over 1,000.
Have you previously been qualified before in a court of law as an expert in the fields of pathology and forensic pathology?
Yes, I have.
Approximately how many times?
Over 10.
And is this included in the Superior Courts of the state of Georgia? Have you testified as an expert in Georgia?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would tender Dr. DeMarco as an expert in the fields of pathology and forensic pathology.
I do that. My purpose will be allowed to testify as an expert in the areas of pathology and forensic.
And what is briefly pathology and forensic pathology?
Of course.
No, I've looked at that case. It seems like it just sort of disappeared in the news. You can still find the case, but there's no updates. At least I haven't seen any recently. Let's see. Mom, son, and girlfriend killed. It was Texas, right? Cyprus. Yeah, it's a house fire also. So it's woman, adult, son, his girlfriend identified after. Yeah. No, I haven't seen anything. What were their names though? Let's see. No, that's not it. Yeah, burning. There's. Oh, that's long.
Dude, this is a horrible gaming experience.
Hold on. It's, they were identified as Kathy, or Kellyanne, and Colin Foster, and Cameron Richard. Let me just look that one up. And there was another one I was thinking about. Remember the one a long time ago where there was like this younger kid and he was at a lake with friends and then he sort of disappeared and people were looking for him, but he actually killed this guy at this property or something. I don't know if it was his dad or ex-stepdad or something. You remember that one? Never remember getting an update on that at all either. Yeah, I don't see any updates on that case. There's an obituary for her.
So pathology is essentially the study of disease. My residency training was mostly spent in the hospital, in the pathology department, in the laboratory. So there's anatomic pathology, which is more so dealing with the tissues. So let's say, for example, you have a biopsy performed. A pathologist is the person that will oversee the lab that processes the biopsy and look at it under the microscope. In addition to that, anatomic pathology also includes autopsy.
Yeah, there was like this long straightaway of road, and then his car was broke down or something, and yeah, it was weird. It was one that we covered for like 2 days, and then it stopped.
So there will be medical autopsies in the hospital that are performed. Clinical pathology is, instead of dealing with diagnosing disease in the tissue, it's diagnosing disease in liquids. So if you get a blood test performed, that goes to a laboratory that is run by a pathologist.
It's like a dark-haired kid.
Per se.
I get it.
Then forensic pathology is a subset of
team
anatomic pathology that deals with medical legal autopsies, sudden unexplained deaths that are usually non-natural, but natural also occurs as well.
Were you the doctor that performed an autopsy on an individual named Laken Riley?
Yes, it was.
Would you tell the court, please, on what day and what time did you perform that autopsy?
On February 23rd at approximately 8:35 a.m.
Where was that autopsy performed?
At the GHI headquarters in Decatur, Georgia.
It's interesting that they used her at the end. Normally they're first.
And you performed the autopsy on Laken Riley.
Or near the beginning.
Photograph it?
Photographs were taken under my direction by our forensic photographer.
Thank you. And did you also produce a report summarizing your findings?
I did, yes.
And what is the unique case number that was assigned to Laken Riley? And did you use that unique case number in the photographs and in your report?
Yes, that unique case number was used throughout. May I refer to my report so I don't misstate the case number?
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
While she's looking at that, let me go ahead and make an announcement to the media that there will not be any photographs or any depiction of autopsy evidence going forward.
The case number is 2024-1005107.
And may I approach the witness, Your Honor? I'm sorry, I'm going to approach the witness and I'm going to hand you a series of photographs. And what we had done, Your Honor, is made multiple copies of the photographs. The defense counsel has some at their table so that they can follow along. I'm handing Dr. DeMarco states 299 through 218. And I ask if she recognizes those, and I'm going to have an extra copy for the court so that she can talk about the photo, my number, and everybody can see it at the same time.
Okay.
Without having the need to publish the photos.
But is there, they haven't been admitted yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so I'm going to leave the mic.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
That's it. 299 to 318. Do you recognize states 299 to 318?
Yes, I do.
What are they?
These are the photographs that were taken at the time of autopsy.
Of Laken Riley?
Correct.
And her belongings? Or items that came in with her body, sorry.
Right.
Okay, yes. The statement, no, do they fairly and accurately depict Laken Riley and her body as you saw it on February 23rd of 2024?
Yes, they do.
Statement moved to admit states 299 to 318.
No objection.
And in lieu of publishing them over to Elmo, Your Honor, if you could take those, thank you, for the court. So let's start first with, could you tell the court in what condition did you receive Laken Riley's body?
Laken Riley was received to our office in a body bag with identifying tags on the zippers of the external surface.
And is that what we see in states 299?
Correct.
And in states 299, do you see that unique case number that you just read to us?
Yes.
States 300, could you tell us what we're looking at there?
Following the photographs that are taken of the tags on the bag, we will take as, quote unquote, as is photographs. So as we receive the body, we will take photos, how they come in. And that is photos 300 through 302.
So I want to talk to you about the condition of her body. First of all, were her hands bagged?
Yes.
And do you see those bags in states 300?
Yes, and 301.
301. And what other, could you describe her body in terms of how was she clothed and what, if any, other items you saw around her hair?
She came in wearing pants, undergarments, as well as shoes and socks. She had a necklace on her neck as well. There was a hair tie in her hair, as well as admixed leaves and twigs, vegetative debris.
And are those items depicted in States 300? That is the vegetative debris. Do you see it at the top of States 300?
Yes.
In her hair?
Yes.
All right. And then moving to States 302, does that depict her bottom part of her clothing, her leggings and her shoes?
Correct.
All right. Could you please describe Laken Riley in terms of age, height, and weight?
May I refer to my report for height and weight, just accurate. She was a 22-year-old female, 64 inches or 5'4", and 143 pounds.
Did you observe any injuries to Laken Riley?
I did.
Can you globally describe them, and then we'll cover them in more detail? Globally describe the injuries that you saw, just in general terms.
So Laken exhibited blunt force head trauma, as well as signs of asphyxia.
What is asphyxia?
Asphyxia is essentially the inability to deliver oxygen to your tissues and cells.
And what types of actions can cause asphyxia? Where do you see asphyxial deaths?
Asphyxial deaths can be seen in hangings, which are ligature strangulation. They can be seen in manual strangulation, as well as neck compression, either by somebody using their arm or doing an arm bar or chokehold or something like that.
And at times, as a medical examiner, are you able to determine what type of asphyxia caused or contributed to a victim's death?
In cases where we have good autopsy findings that would allow us to categorize them into one of those areas, we can.
And in this particular case with Laken Riley, were you able to determine what type of asphyxia you saw?
I was not able to categorize it.
So how did you categorize it in your report then, or how did you characterize it?
I just refer to it as asphyxia and not otherwise specified.
So it could be manual strangulation, but you just don't have enough findings to say that.
Correct.
Could be compression?
Correct.
So you told us the global injuries. I want to start first with Laken's face and head, and then move down the rest of her body, if you could.
Okay.
So we're looking at States 303. Could you tell the court what we're looking at there?
303 is what we call our quote-unquote ID shot. So we take this for every case where we put the case number under the individual's face and take this photograph.
Do you see any injuries to Laken's face?
Yes.
What are those injuries, please? Can you describe them for us?
She has a combination of abrasions, which are scrapes, as well as contusions, which is just the fancy medical way of saying a bruise, so bleeding under the skin, as well as lacerations. Lacerations, as opposed to an abrasion just being a scrape of the skin, a laceration is a defect of the skin and the tissue immediately underlying it.
States 304, what are we looking at there?
This is another photograph of her face with a little bit of a closer view, as well as more exposure of the injuries to the left side of her head.
And can you see in States 304 her neck?
Yes.
And did you observe any injuries to her neck? And if you did, could you please describe them for us?
Yes. On external exam, she had approximately 1-inch cluster of small abrasions on the left side of her neck.
And what can cause abrasions?
Abrasions are a form of blunt force trauma.
States 305, what does that depict?
In this photograph, we have shaved away some of the hair on the left side of the scalp so that we can better see this cluster of lacerations that are on the left side of the scalp. In addition to these lacerations, there are associated areas of contusions, which is that
I think we could actually hear her head being
as well as some
smashed with the rock in that 911 call.
What is a laceration?
A laceration is a form of blunt force trauma in that the skin and the tissue underneath the skin are separated.
Did you notice any injuries? You told us the lacerations. I'm going to ask you to describe them first. If you could describe for us the most severe injury that you saw to the left side of her head first, and then I'll ask you to describe the other lacerations.
The largest laceration was over 1 inch in greatest dimension, and you can see it associated with a defect of the underlying skull.
And when you say a defect in the underlying skull, what do you mean?
A fracture.
So did she have a skull fracture?
Yes.
How did you describe that skull fracture? Or how would you describe it?
It is a complex displaced fracture of the left calvarium.
What does that mean?
It is a segment of her skull on the left side is displaced from its usual anatomic location.
And displaced in what way?
Displaced into the calvarium.
Okay, so into her skull.
Correct.
There is a part of her skull missing that's been displaced inside her head. Is that the way of saying it?
It's there, yeah, it's just displaced, yep, into the skull.
Into her skull. All right. And you told us how long it was. Is that what you described at 1 inch plus?
The largest dimension, I can refer my report for the exact. I know it was over an inch. It is 1 13/16 of an inch, so just under 2.
And is that the wound that we're talking about, the skull fracture, is that the one in the center of 305, which would be the largest wound that we see in that photograph?
Correct.
And how deep was that wound?
If you are measuring from the outer table of the skull, it was 1/4 of an inch.
And with that wound, would you expect that wound to cause Laken Riley to bleed?
Yes.
What, and that wound itself, this skull fracture, is that, or could that be a fatal wound to Laken Riley?
It could be fatal.
Explain to us why and how.
Well, the wound, as you mentioned, caused a displacement of the skull into the brain. In addition, underneath the wound, there was some subarachnoid hemorrhage. So essentially, there's a coating around the brain. Right under that coating, there was a little bit of hemorrhage associated with it as well. And like was mentioned, there was bleeding under the scalp associated with this injury and associated with that laceration.
And why could that be fatal to a person?
It essentially is causing trauma to the brain.
Did you observe any other lacerations to the left side of her head?
Yes.
How many did you observe?
There were 8 in total.
And if you could go through with us, do we see them in State's Exhibit 305, the others?
Yes.
Okay. And could you describe them as you describe, how would you describe the other 8?
They ranged in size from 1/4 of an inch to the largest wound that was over an inch. Some of them were curvilinear or linear, whereas others had a more irregular shape to them.
What type of, you said the lacerations are blunt force trauma?
Correct.
Is a rock a blunt surface?
It can be, yes.
And are the injuries that you see in States 305 consistent with
I
a
knew
rock?
she was going to say that.
They could be consistent with a rock.
I said it out loud, but my mic was off.
On the left side of her head, we're still on States 305. Could you tell us what, if any, injuries did you observe to her ear on the left side?
She also had a contusion or a bruise to the helix of her ear, as well as an associated abrasion in that area.
And the helix of the ear, could you just tell us for the record, what part of the ear is that?
It's, my apologies, it's the upper earlobe.
Kind of where my hand is right now?
Yes.
All right, on the left upper top of the earlobe. Right. And what type of injury did you say that was?
A contusion with an associated abrasion.
And is a contusion also a way of saying a bruise?
Yes.
All right. And it states 306, if you could flip that photo for us. What are we looking at there on states 306?
This is just another view a little bit further away, showing all the injuries to the left side of her head and neck.
So a complete photo of the 8 lacerations that you discussed?
Yes.
States 307. Tell us what we're looking at there.
307 is a closer up view of those injuries to the left scalp.
And 308.
308 is part of our internal examination. We will reflect the scalp from the head, and this view shows you the hemorrhage on the undersurface of the scalp, as well as a better view of the fracture of the skull.
Of the left side?
Correct.
Did Laken Riley have injuries to the right side of her head?
She did have injuries on the right side as well.
Could you describe those for us, please?
There was some discoloration over the right temporal region, as well as her temporalis muscle, which is the muscle that's kind of on the side of your head under your temple, had a laceration to it. It was hemorrhagic, so it was bleeding, and there was also hemorrhage on the undersurface of the scalp in that region.
And what type of injuries were those injuries?
Also blunt force trauma.
What is petechia?
So petechia are very small, punctate, uniform hemorrhages that can be seen either in the eyes, on the facial skin, in the mouth, in instances of asphyxia.
Did you see petechia at Laken Riley's autopsy?
I did.
Where did you see it? And I have states 309, if that would help you as well, if you want to go to that photo.
There were petechia within both of her eyes, as well as coarser, larger hemorrhages associated with these petechia in her eyes. There were petechia of the skin surrounding her eyes, her periorbital region, as well as a small amount of petechia in the gingival mucosa, which is essentially the gum.
So are those things documented in your photographs that extend all the way to states 315?
Yes.
And is that the petechia you observed on Laken Riley's body?
Yes.
So what causes those types of injuries?
Petechia are a result of increased pressure within the vasculature that causes small vessels to burst and create those tiny pinpoint hemorrhages, and that can be seen in asphyxia.
And do you know how long does it take approximately for someone to be deprived of oxygen before petechiae can form?
I could not say with certainty the time.
And the manner in which she obtained the petechiae, you've already pretty much told us about. It's asphyxia of some sort.
Mm-hmm, correct.
And it could be manual, it could be compression, like someone sitting on her, is that right?
It's possible, either manual strangulation or some sort of compression of the neck or chest.
And it had to be done long enough for her to be deprived of oxygen.
So she got strangled to death.
Right?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought she was like hitting over the head.
And what
Wow.
other injuries did you see to her body?
So he knocked her out
In
and
addition, there
strangled
were
her to
also
death.
abrasions of her torso, her abdomen, as well as abrasions on her left hand and left leg.
Let's talk about her torso. State's Exhibit 316. Do you recognize that photo? And do you see those? Do you see her torso?
Yes.
How would you describe the injuries that we see on the left side of her torso?
These injuries are clusters of linear abrasions that are both parallel to each other as well as intersecting with one another.
And there's a lower one. I want to talk to you about the lowest one that we see in 316, right above the measuring tape that has your unique case number on it. You see that injury?
Yes.
How would you describe that injury?
That is also a linear abrasion.
And this might sound like a really dumb question, but by linear, do you mean a line?
Yes.
And could these abrasions be consistent with something like a belt buckle or some kind of metal object?
It's possible.
Would these also be considered blunt force injuries?
Yes.
Would you consider these a brush abrasion? And when I say these, I'm talking about these linear injuries on her torso.
I can't entirely exclude them having a brush component, but they don't appear to be the stereotypical brush abrasion.
So maybe the rocks were to finish her off, like he strangled her and strangled her and strangled her, and then that could have been, well, no, because she wouldn't have been able to make the 911 call. I think he had his hand over her mouth during the 911 call, and then to keep her quiet, he smashed her in the head over and over and knocked her out. And then it was after the 911 call that, he strangles her. Like after he bashed her in the head to knock her out. Then he strangled her after that. That's what I think.
That we can see.
Why not?
The stereotypical brush abrasions will have, and usually will have areas of like a
Hearing what stuff? This is the third day of trial. This is the third time we've gone over it.
coalescence. So you'll have those linear striation abrasions as well as a larger patch.
You gotta go watch my other two shows on it.
See the same features in this.
First show has the 911.
Are these linear injuries consistent with something like a belt or a key or some object like that?
They could be consistent with an object.
States 317, what are we looking at there?
This is a photograph of her left hand depicting a small.
It's in the first show, like 2 nights
Is that
ago.
the red mark that we see above the measuring stick or tape that has your unique case number on it?
Yes.
States 318, what are we looking at there?
Also the left hand, this is showing a linear abrasion on the left pinky.
And these abrasions, are they also a form of blunt force trauma?
Yes.
I want to talk to you about the evidence that you collected at your autopsy. Were Laken Riley's fingernails clipped at autopsy?
Yes, they were.
I'm going to put some gloves in front of you if you need them, Dr. DeMarco, so you don't just in case.
So he had those black gloves on, but there was a hole in it.
So states 319, I'm going to hand you...
Maybe she's the one that cut the gloves by grabbing his hand. You know, maybe Laken tried to get his hands off of her and then made those holes in the black gloves.
States 319, do you recognize it? Do you recognize the unique case number? Is your name on it?
Yes, it has my name as well as the unique case number, the county, and the name of Laken Riley.
And are those the fingernail clippings that you took at autopsy of Laken Riley?
Yes, these are the ones taken at autopsy.
The state moved to 319. No objections?
Your 19 submitted.
Did you perform a sexual assault kit on Laken Riley?
Yes.
Tell me what you did. What is that and how did you do it in this case?
The sexual assault kit consists of collecting evidence samples. So we took swabs of the vagina as well as the anus, and then we also collected scalp hair.
And at your autopsy and in your examination of Laken Riley, did you observe any signs of a completed sexual assault?
I did not observe anything that would make me believe there was a sexual assault. She had no anogenital trauma. In addition, I forgot to mention the sexual assault kit also includes a swab of the oral cavity.
So State's Exhibit 324, do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is it?
This is the envelope containing the sexual assault kit.
And again, do you see your unique case number, your name, and Laken Riley's name on that?
Yes.
State would move to admit State's 324.
Objection.
324 is admitted.
Did you, at autopsy, or was there at autopsy a sample of Laken Riley's DNA obtained during that procedure, during that process?
Yes, we obtained 2 blood stain cards.
Did you also, at autopsy, have samples of Laken Riley's hair collected?
Yes.
And what's that process like?
Some of the scalp hair will be removed from the scalp, and when it's removed, you make sure that there's, the root comes along with it. So a collection of scalp hair from different areas of the scalp is collected.
Was her clothing also collected?
Yes.
And the vegetation
we know,
that
Cynthia,
you observed in her
we heard
hair
it.
when she arrived at your facility, was that also collected?
Yes.
And when I come up near you, what did you find? First, States 323.
He was running over there.
This is a sample of the vegetative debris, so leaves and twigs taken from her hair.
And again, you see your unique case number and your name and Laken Riley's name.
Yes.
State would move to admit States 323.
No objection.
323 is admitted.
Did Laken Riley have a hair tie with her hair or some hair in her hair?
Yes.
And was that collected as well?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 326, can you tell us what that is?
This is a evidence bag containing the black hair tie.
And the state would move to admit States 326.
No objection.
326 is admitted.
And I want to move to her clothing.
Yeah, he sure was hateful, wasn't he?
Let's start first with her shoes. States 322. Do you recognize 322?
Yes.
What is it?
This is an evidence bag containing her athletic shoes.
State would move States 322. Move to admit States 322.
No objection.
322 is admitted.
Yeah, it's crazy how long she was battling. Oh, jeez. God, one of these whining idiots. Get rid of that person quick. Oh, my God. Oh, Jesus. That person would last 2 minutes if you ever disagreed. Boy, that... All right, here we go. God, can you believe that?
States 320. What is that?
This is an evidence bag containing her pants.
State would move to admit States 320.
No objection.
320 is admitted.
States 321. What is that?
This is an evidence bag containing her underwear.
State would move to admit States 321.
No objection.
Yeah, the chick.
States 325.
This is an evidence bag containing her socks.
State would move to admit States 325.
No objection.
325 is admitted.
States 327.
This is an evidence bag containing a piece of black fabric that appeared to be a bra strap.
And the state would move to admit States 327.
No objection.
327 is admitted.
Dr. DeMarco, did you form an opinion as to the cause of death of Laken Riley?
I did.
What is that opinion?
Her cause of death is the combined effects of blunt force head trauma and asphyxia.
What is her manner of death?
Homicide.
May I have 1 moment, ma'am?
Yes.
I will pass the witness. I just have a moment for my photos. Correct.
Is hemorrhaging considered a subset of a cause of death, or can it be its own cause of death? Blood loss. Is blood loss considered a subset of other causes of death, or can it be its own cause of death?
So blood loss or exsanguination is not usually a word that we'll use for a cause of death. It's more so a mechanism of death. The cause would be the blunt force trauma that caused the hemorrhaging. If that makes sense.
That was the next question. So in this case, the blunt force trauma, it's not just the trauma, it would be possibly also the bleeding that came from that.
Oh, so the cause of death was a blunt force trauma. I thought she said earlier it was strangling.
I think they're pretty intrinsically linked, but yes.
When I look at your report, I just want to make sure we're looking at the same document. Do you have a 6-page report in front of you?
Yes.
And the top says official report, and it has the GHI sigil in it?
Yes.
When I look at your report, it has a section called
Okay,
case
so
individuals.
both of them. I missed that
Did
part.
you fill that out?
I did not.
That is automatically populated with this case number?
Yeah, it's just, excuse me, it is automatically populated by our LIMS system, which is Laboratory Information Management System.
Do you know who decides how to categorize these 4 individuals?
So I think I bet he bashed her over the head first when she was on that 911 call. Had his hand over her mouth, bashed her over the head, and then after that he strangled her to make sure she was dead. However he did that. I don't think that was first.
I do not.
And just for the record, is it true that it lists the victim as Laken Riley?
Correct.
The subject as Jose Antonio Ibarra?
Correct.
Elimination, Argenis Ibarra?
Yes.
Elimination, Diego Jose Ibarra?
Yes. But I examined them.
How would you describe the state of her fingernails before they were clipped?
They were intact. They were not broken.
Is it true that there was blood on the inside of her fingernails?
I would have to refer to the photograph to see, but I know that there was soiling of the fingers, specifically blood. I would have to look at the photographs.
In other words, you can remember if there were blood on the fingers, you just can't remember if they were underneath the fingernails?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he was.
Yes, sorry.
See, my theory is that he was straddling her when she was on her back. I said this yesterday, or 2 days ago. She was sitting on her, laying on her back. He's straddling her. The phone, she's already dialed the phone, and then he sort of pushes the phone away or whatever, but then has his hand on her mouth with one hand, and then he takes the rock with the other hand and just you hear it. You hear these 4 loud, like, bangs on this call, and I think he killed her, basically, she might have still been kind of trying to breathe or whatever, but he hit her with that, and then he kind of probably gave up on what he was going to do, and then he quietly strangled her, made sure she wasn't alive. I mean, this guy is, this guy's a psycho, man. This guy he was going to do that to somebody else right there in that apartment prior. It's crazy.
The scratches on her torso, you'd agree that they're in a variety of lengths?
Yes.
There's also a little bit of variety of the width of these scratches.
A small amount, yes.
Who cares?
And you were discussing with the state the possibility that they were brush abrasions. Can you explain what you mean by brush abrasions?
So when we say brush abrasions, we're just giving a characterization to their appearance. So they have an appearance where there was some sort of movement across the surface.
So, for example, someone could get brush abrasions by dragging somebody across the surface.
That's possible.
And you can't eliminate the possibility that some of these scratches are brush abrasions.
I can't entirely exclude it, but I don't favor that they are.
Do you have an opinion as to whether these scratches could have been caused post-mortem?
I do not think that they were
I don't
post-mortem.
know.
And why not?
I don't know who that is, who you're talking about, Zozo.
These scratches showed something that we call a vital reaction. So when you see red discoloration in the area of the injury, that is an indication of bleeding. And you will not see bleeding into the tissues in a postmortem injury.
Does that differ depending on how close in time to the death that happens?
No.
So if somebody is deceased and then the next
Might be
second
on the
they're
wong
cut,
video or something.
wouldn't that also have bleeding?
There's nobody named Andrew Williams in there.
So the bleeding that goes into the tissues is a
Wilson.
effect of the heart pumping. So the heart needs to be pumping to have the pressure and push that blood into the tissues at the injury site.
And so you're saying you didn't notice, I'm not going to put words around, just trying to repeat, you didn't notice signs of blood being pumped through those wounds, or you did notice signs of blood being pumped through those wounds on the scratches?
Yes.
Okay. Just one moment.
Who's Beast? Man, lost. I don't know who any of the people
Do you
you're
have an
talking
opinion as to what caused the scratches
Like
on
Zozo typed in @Andrew Williams. There isn't anybody that's chatted in the chat for a long time with that name.
the torso?
I mean, I
Some
haven't
sort of
seen any,
black
as
bush
a
on
matter of fact.
Is it possible they were caused by
I'm
fingernails?
trying to read the conversation.
It's possible.
Oh, I see.
I don't have any questions.
Briefly, when asked about
Maybe that was somebody that was removed.
you said, I don't favor that they are called brush abrasions. Could you explain that to us? What do you mean about I don't favor that?
They don't have the stereotypical appearance of what I would call a brush abrasion.
And that's why when you say you don't favor, they are. What do you mean by the word favor?
I mean, based on my experience and the brush abrasions that I've seen, these have a slightly different appearance, but I cannot entirely exclude them being from a brush injury.
And you answered the defense counsel's question. It's possible it's fingernails. It's also possible that it's an object. It's possible that it's anything that could cause blunt force trauma to her in this manner.
Correct.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Anything else with that?
I don't think so, no.
Can she be excused?
Yes, sir.
That's all I got on this one. Does anybody know who Andrew Williams is, or Wilson, I mean? Is anybody in here with that name? Am I blind, or? Oh, well. I don't see it. Anyways, alright, you guys. Thank you for being here. I'm just trying to follow the chat, and I get confused. So thanks, Lisa Valenzuela, K. Me, Daphne, who showed up, and then we got Monica Reeves, Jessica Schubach, Sandy Shirley, Lisa Noir 23, Mostly Harmless, K. Me, Chav Urena, Razworld 13, CET 62, Camden Edwards, and Sharon Gornick with a double cat eye. Hey, you didn't answer the questions, though. So who is Andrew? Who's Andrew Wilson? We don't see anybody with that name, nor has there been. It must have been on another video that you were chatting on, and there's a guy in there, and he said something funny, and then you were like, yeah, says the guy, because you went and stalked his channel and then saw that he had a video with the... Man, I should be a detective, you know? She got busted. Oh, there's a screenshot? I didn't see him. Maybe they had him blocked. Weird. I guess I shouldn't be a detective. No, I don't see, I haven't seen anybody. There's some people I never get to see, actually. Like, they come in and they're chatting and you guys are looking at them, but I can't see them. Oh. You got deleted quick, huh? Oh, is that the one that said... Oh, that's right. I know which one you're talking about. I don't see it on the screen, but he said something like, there's plenty of better detectives or something like that, right? That one. On YouTube Detectives. I remember that. Now, he's an idiot, whoever that person is, yeah. Or like a really dumb person. Technically. Like literally... technically dumb, you know what I mean? That's sad when you get to that point. Not just, hey, you're dumb, like literally. Yeah, I remember him saying. I deleted him really quick. None of the mods were around at the time. I think that's the one, anyways. But hey, that's it for tonight's show. Oh, that one. Yeah, I didn't see that one. Yeah, I never saw that one. Yeah. Weird. These people are so stupid. Hey, listen, you guys. I appreciate you guys trolling me. It means that I'm doing something right. Okay, I appreciate it. I know it's frustrating when we cover cases and we get them right 99% of the time. and you do shit where you're right 1% of the time because you're a nut job conspiracy wacko. And so all of you have to bitch and complain about the channel who gets it right. But of course they're wrong because all of the verdicts that are in my favor are because of a conspiracy by something else, and therefore you're wrong, and you just don't know the real truth, Gray. If you just go, yeah, these people are freaking nuts, okay? Anyways, thanks everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there. I think the defense is doing something. I'm sure they're going to have like half day and then they're done, and that's what they said. And then tomorrow it's going to go to the judge. Hopefully the judge takes 5 minutes, comes back. Yeah, he's... Let me guess, these guys are defending this killer too.
Yeah, I've been doing this true crime.
How do you
thing
know
for
he
quite a
didn't
while
do it?
now.
I mean, the
And
brother.
during this
you
whole
know.
time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, plug rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector.
Yeah, put out those vibes for Sharon Gornick and Lil Puppy Paws.
Freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a
Zozo as well.
Fool deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I've a temper fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender.
Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody. Talk to you later.
Correct.
Hey, hey, listen, you guys. I was listening to Gray's show last night, and near the end I heard somebody scream. Do you think that was his wife or something? I mean, you know, he could have been. Who knows, man? I heard he's gonna be investigated. Maybe he got really angry and then...
No, idiot. It's a sound effect. Listen.
Did you hear that, guy? Did you hear that? His wife screamed a whole bunch of times in a row and then stopped right in the beginning of the scream and then started it again. It was really weird. It went like this.
I wish they solved the other case, the Russell and Shirley Derman. I don't know what you're talking about. Did you send me something? You'd have to send me that one. All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you later. And be safe out there.